council meeting to order on May 12th at 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Coles?
Here.
Councilman Gregor?
Here.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Here.
Councilwoman Thomas? And Mayor Sherrill.
Here. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes from the April 14th meeting and the April 27th special meeting?
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from April 14th and April 27th, 2020?
I'll make the motion. I'll second the motion.
All right. I'll make that motion and Dawn will second it. Are there any corrections or anything on the minutes? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Gregor?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
And Mayor Sherrill.
Yes. The minutes have been approved. We have a general public comment, but none on agenda items only, so I'm going to move to correspondence. There was a proclamation declaring the week of April 19th through April 25th Love Your Library Week, and a proclamation declaring May 3rd, 2020 Bells Across Pennsylvania Day. We also had a letter from Eric Manko, principal of Monessen High School and Middle School. That letter I will read to you. It says, "Dear City of Monessen and Mayor Sherrill, I'm writing in hopes to get permission and or guidance for a few functions regarding the Monessen High School senior class of 2020. The hope of the school district is to make graduation and other events as memorable as possible for this class that has lost so much their senior year in the classroom, on stages and dance floors and playing fields. They have missed out on a lot of memories, and we are hopeful in having graduation and these events as an in-person experience if permitted by the City of Monessen, the Pennsylvania Department of Health and Governor's orders, the PA Department of Education, and CDC guidelines and recommendations. 1. Parade of seniors before graduation on June 12th, or rain date of June 13th or 14th, 2020. Approximately 5:30 p.m. starting at a designated location downtown or wherever agreed upon, and ending at Monessen Stadium for graduation ceremonies, which would start at 7 p.m. Expected number of limited people inside the stadium for ceremony would be roughly 200, give or take. This would include students, parents, school faculty, and staff. Ceremony would only occur if gatherings of this size are permitted. July 17th, 2020 and August 7th, 2020 are alternate dates. 2. Parade of seniors as a graduation ceremony on June 12th. I think this is a duplicate. Approximately 5:30 p.m. starting at a designated location downtown or wherever agreed upon, and ending at Monessen High School for graduation recognition. Students would remain in cars and receive diplomas when arriving at the high school. 3. Possible use of Monessen Amphitheater on June 8th for senior awards at 2 p.m., pending gathering limitations or social distancing recommendations. Plans to do all senior activities virtually are also in the works and being made as backup plans to items above. We are also going to record and or live stream all activities as well. Parade plan is to have possibly one senior each in a convertible truck or flatbed, or in city vehicles. Parade would involve city vehicles and personnel if possible to take part in or lead the parade. People would be given directions regarding the parade and gathering in a joint release from the school and the city. I know a similar parade took place recently for a local pastor and went off without problems to my knowledge, and I would like to be able to honor our seniors of 2020 accordingly. Any questions or concerns, please contact me, and he lists his contact information. Sincerely, Eric Manko, Principal, Monessen Middle School, High School. So, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. I think, you know, if the guidelines allow us to do something, I think we should definitely work with the school to honor the students and do whatever we can to work with the students as well, to give them the opportunity to be recognized. I know it's probably rough for them as well to go through their senior year like this, and I'm sure it's very disappointing. So if anyone has any thoughts on that, we could definitely discuss it further, and we'll let the school know whatever we all decide to do, just as long as we do it as safely as possible.
I have a question for Mr. Witt, if he's there.
Yes, I'm here, yep.
Hey, Tim, I got a question. On,
Yes, sir.
You know, on using the possible amphitheater,
Uh-huh.
would they be required to sign a waiver?
I mean, I would think, yeah, that we would want them to sign some sort of, provide an insurance coverage policy and/or an indemnification agreement, just like any other organization that would want to use the amphitheater.
So if somebody got hurt, we wouldn't be responsible.
Yeah, exactly. And I would think it would be tough for them because they would have policies in place that would cover that since they have events already, at their own facilities.
I'm sure, but I think that needs to.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else on that from anyone?
And Mayor, before you, I apologize for interjecting here. You kind of flew over the floor for public comment on agenda items only.
Mm-hmm.
I have something that's an agenda item that was sent to me.
Oh, go ahead.
So, and that is from Mr. Lee, Eddie Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And his question is concerning the housing consortium. His questions are this, because it is on the agenda as an item.
Right.
He says, one, is it the same as the land bank? I'll let this be answered one by one so we don't run into everything. Is this the same as the land bank, you'd like to know?
No.
Okay. Is there a buy-in and waiting period before being able to tap into the benefits of the agreement?
And let me pull this up because I know the agreement isn't here.
No, from my review of the agreement, there's no buy-in. All it does is it enables the city to be eligible to receive and share in the home program grant funds that are actually sent to the county and to be used by the county for all municipalities in the county, including entitlement communities, which Monessen will be included. So there's no buy-in. If there would be a project using those home program grant funds in the city, a portion of those funds would be used to help offset the administrative costs at the county level.
Okay. And the next question is, he's asking, by joining into the agreement, does it affect the CDBG entitlement?
It does not. So this is extra and in addition to the CDBG entitlement. So it's related to the CDBG program because it's through HUD as well. But Monessen, as you guys know, is an entitlement community, so you guys are entitled to your CDBG allocation of actual CDBG funds regardless of what happens with this program. This program, my understanding is that it's only distributed to counties, and then the counties are responsible for coordinating amongst all of the eligible entities, including entitlement communities, for dispersing these funds. But HUD and DCED ultimately, in order to reduce the administrative burden on them, they want to run everything through the counties, which is why they're requiring people to enter into these agreements to have access and to be eligible for this funding.
Right. And the reason he's asking is that we were going through the council, Jason Ragone from Westmoreland County Industrial Development, he came to Monessen, and I remember this, and he was trying to encourage them to join the land bank, but by doing some, would cut off the CDBG entitlement, and that's why the council at that time, I was not on council, the council at that time said no. And then his last question, Mayor, I guess this is directed at you, what's the benefits of joining? You can answer that now, or you can wait until it's brought up as one of the...
Of joining the consortium,
Yes, sir.
I would say to be able to acquire additional funding
Or,
regarding CDBG.
I thought CDBG is totally different.
This is part of it's the homes program, right?
Yeah, these are home program funds, which are different from CDBG. So home program funds can only be used for like affordable housing initiatives. So, and I think actually Monessen's already a participant and already has an agreement from 2017, 2018, and 2019, or alternatively, maybe it's 2018, 2019, and 2020 for this same program, where funds could be made available to the city to do, housing revitalization projects or some other affordable housing projects within the city.
Right, but to be clear, if I'm correct, Jim, unless I'm wrong, this doesn't have anything to do with walking hand in hand with CDBG funds.
That's correct, you're right.
So, and I'm not to make an issue, my question is then, Mayor, the promise you made then isn't correct.
Correct.
So you'd ask me what the benefits of joining.
Well, I mean, if we could get this funding through the home program, like Tim said, to be able to provide additional housing for residents. I mean, if we could find, let's say, I'm sure there are properties out there that aren't quite as bad as other properties that need to be demolished. If we can rehab some of these homes and get them into the hands of taxpayers and get them back on the tax rolls, that's one potential project. Things like that, anything to get more people into the city or to get, more homeowners that are already here that might not be owning a house. I think it would be beneficial.
Okay, but this doesn't get us involved into anything along the nature of the city now becomes a landlord.
No, I mean, I would say, let's say, for example, there's a house that is, maybe it's been vacant for a couple of years and it's not in too bad of shape and it's eligible for this program. Let's say we decide, okay, we're going to apply these funds to rehab this house, or there are two houses, whatever the case may be. We'd rehab it, and then we'd have to go through the process of maybe even working with the Redevelopment Authority to get that house, after the project is completed, into the hands of someone who will pay taxes on it and take it over. We wouldn't be like landlords over whoever decides to move into this house.
Okay, and then my last question on it would be, then the city at no time would be putting any of its funds from the general fund in. It would be only exclusive to what this consortium had to offer in the way of a grant. So there was two properties you were considering, and there was $25,000. Your council would have to decide, is $25,000 enough to refurb one of them, or we don't have enough money even to refurb one of them. You see where my question's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that when the time came, like, we'd have to decide what we could do with it. I don't know if this is the same program that was used to tear down some of the houses as well through the county. I don't know, the one on 3rd Street, for example, that was just torn down a couple weeks ago. I think this is part of that same program.
Okay, you asked a couple questions, and I could have one or two myself.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Matt, before we move on, I think Marlene made copies of everyone from the public comments that Mr. Moser had.
Yeah.
And I think there's one of his bullets that might be an agenda item. The one that, I think it's the 4th bullet down.
Yep.
Let me
And
pull
I
it
think
up.
that would pertain to a bullet, like in my part D under Department of Streets.
Oh, you're right.
I think that,
Mhm.
I
You're
think
right.
that would, maybe you might want to read that one, because that relates to that.
Sure. So Mr. Mosier at 25 Colonial Drive, he, as Lois said, he had several points, this one being an agenda item. The Redevelopment Authority of the City of Monessen received a letter indicating that the city was no longer able to maintain the Redevelopment Authority properties. Remember, we are in this together, and historically the city has mowed the grass. It's hard to understand why the city with new tractors cannot handle this task as has been done for decades. Further, had the city notified us of this before, perhaps the Redevelopment Authority could have taken one of the old, less than a year old tractors such that we can contribute to the effort. It should also be recalled that Redevelopment Authority has purchased lawnmowers for the city in the past as part of our contribution effort. So everyone knows, I have the letter here that was sent to the Redevelopment Authority, so I'm going to read it so that everyone knows what he's talking about, and then I will address that. So we did send a letter to the Redevelopment Authority on Monday, April 27th, and it says, Redevelopment board members, as everyone in the city should be aware, there are current financial difficulties that the city faces today and in the foreseeable future. As a result, the city will no longer be able to maintain any redevelopment authority properties going forward effective immediately. Public Works Department. City Council in the previous 6 years has reduced the headcount from 11 employees to the current headcount of 7 employees. This reduction has minimized the Public Works Department ability to perform all the necessary duties required of their positions. There is insufficient time available to maintain redevelopment authority properties. Financial difficulties. Over $600,000 in unpaid invoices and obligations was unpaid and carried forward from 2019 into 2020. The city is attempting to address these outstanding balances in the most efficacious manner possible. The current situation is one of grave concern and makes it impossible for the city to expend funds on the maintenance of those redevelopment authority properties. Please take the necessary steps to maintain your properties going forward. Additionally, the city invites continued cooperative efforts to sell or otherwise develop these properties. Sincerely, John Harhide, City Administrator, and Councilwoman Thomas, you were copied on it as well as Rodney Freeman. So that's what was sent out. So that's what Mr. Mosier is referring to. And I would say, to echo the letter, the 115 or so properties, the total that are owned by the Redevelopment Authority should be maintained by the Redevelopment Authority, and all of them should be brought up to code. The city does not own them, and it's been said for years that the Redevelopment Authority is an autonomous authority which exists at the pleasure of council. The city will work on maintaining our own properties. As we mentioned, we are short-staffed, so our own properties become a priority. Additionally, if we're requiring the residents to maintain their properties, Redevelopment Authority should be no exception.
Mayor, I got a quick question. I apologize for interrupting real quick. That letter you just spoke of,
Yes.
is that in our packet?
It was not. I saw Mr. Mosier's comment, and I got a copy of it so that I can reference it, because I wanted to make sure that everyone had that letter. But we can forward you a copy of that letter.
Yeah, it's hard to comment on something if you don't know what he's trying to respond to.
Well, I wanted to make sure that the backstory was there for residents.
And the backstory is being...
The letter that was sent. I wanted everyone to hear the letter
So
that
my
was sent.
question, where was the letter sent to?
That I don't know. I did not send the letter. John did.
You did?
The letter, where was it sent to? Was it sent to Mr. Mosier's building?
Mr. Roser, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mosier's building.
It was sent to his personal building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also the address that's on the letter,
Okay.
216 3rd Street.
Okay.
So we're not gonna try to work with them on this, especially way maybe the downtown properties, because that's kinda, I think we should we should set a type of plan, we can still work with them on this. They might be responsible for maintaining a large portion of them, but, we might want to set up some type of agreement to work with them on some of the downtown properties, because we do want to keep the downtown area looking good.
Well,
We did just ask them to take over the sale of the sidewalk property, so they are willing to do that for us. I think we should try to work with them on some type of agreement to help them out with this. It's a lot of property.
Well, I agree that it's a lot of properties. 115 is certainly a lot. So, I mean, we could definitely discuss it further, but I would say everyone should be able to maintain their own properties. So I would hope that they would be able to try to work with some people to maybe find developers or buyers for these lots as well, so that they don't have so many to maintain.
So what about then the question, someone's going to ask us after this meeting, and it's going to be very quick, and it's going to be said, okay, well, tit for tat, excuse me, what about the city's properties that are falling down or condemned and rubble?
That's exactly why I said that we need to take care of our own properties as well. And if we're going to expect residents to maintain their properties, we need to make sure that our properties are maintained. The Redevelopment Authority needs to make sure that their properties are maintained, so that everyone is taking care of their properties.
Well, what's the definition of maintain? Is it just if there's grass, it's cut, is that it?
Cut grass, windows that are broken, all of that that's in city code, property maintenance code.
All right, well, what about the building next to, I believe the city owns, it's the one next to Mr. Moser's parking lot there?
But we do not own that, actually.
Okay.
But I agree, all of these need to be addressed.
Okay, because I know someone's going to say, well, what about your
Yeah.
own property?
I believe the city owns 165 properties, most of them are empty lots at this point. That also includes parks and city facilities as well. And then, like I said, the Redevelopment Authority owns 116. And those range from buildings to empty lots. And some of them are wooded lots, of course, like, we're not expecting them to cut a wooded lot, but those are lumped in there as well. And I believe John did provide Mr. Mosier a list of all of the properties with the addresses and the tax map numbers of the ones that are owned by the Redevelopment Authority, just so that they had that for reference. We also have a letter of retirement received from Lieutenant Brian Vitale of the Police Department. And I'm going to read that. It's dated May 7th. Attention, Mayor Matt Sherraw, Monessen City Council, and Chief James Smith, City of Monessen Police Department. It is with a heavy heart that due to my pre-existing medical conditions and the COVID-19 pandemic that the nation is currently facing, which with my current position not only exposes me directly with the general public and leaves me susceptible to potentially contracting, but also a greater likelihood of severe illness or death. Under the city's Non-Injury Disability Pension Act, I will be retiring as of June 22nd, 2020. I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to the City of Monessen, and specifically the City of Monessen Police Department, for allowing me to serve the community over the past 18 plus years, first as a patrolman, then a canine handler, and presently as a lieutenant. It has been an honor to serve alongside such fine men and women. Sincerely, Lieutenant Brian M. Vitale, badge number 3. And obviously we wish Brian the best. He's been through a lot, and he's been with us for a long time, so we thank him for all of his work and dedication. And I also have a letter of resignation from Marvin Davis. This is dated May 12th today. Mayor and City Council, I have enjoyed my tenure as code officer here in the city and have found it to be a learning experience that I will not soon forget. It has offered me the opportunity to become more aware of the immediate needs of our town and also the opportunities which are available to help strengthen the areas in need. My goal has always been to do what I could to help Monessen be a better place to live for the residents here. I feel that there has been some victories as well as defeats along the way, but overall I have enjoyed the opportunity to be of some service to my community. I think now is the time for me to step aside and allow someone with passion and energy for this endeavor to continue to move the Code Enforcement Office progressively forward. I would like to thank the previous administration for bringing me on board and the present administration for allowing me to continue to serve in the city where I grew up. I submit this resignation with the hope that our city will continue to grow better for all that live here. That will take all of us. Effective May 15th, 2020, I resign my position as code officer in the City of Monessen. Regards, Marvin Davis. And again, Marvin has also done a lot and has dealt with the brunt of complaints from property owners and things that he's had to do. And I wish him well. Hopefully he gets rested up and takes some time to relax. We have now, we have no old business. So I'll move on to City Treasurer, the Treasurer's Report for the month ending April 2020.
Mayor Mashraw, members of City Council, ladies and gentlemen, garbage fees and city real estate taxes collected for the month of April. Garbage fees revenue. Garbage fees current, April, $6,205. Year to date, $320,023.86. 2020 budget amount, $370,000. Garbage delinquent, April, $5,714.32. Year-to-date, $42,946.03. 2020 budgeted, $200,000. Garbage fees, Housing Authority, quarterly, we received $15,258.75. From the county, that's also the year-to-date figure, $15,258.75. 2020 budgeted, $67,800. Total budget amount, $637,800. Garbage fees collected for 2021. Year-to-date, $344.98. 2020 budgeted, $100,000. City real estate taxes revenue. City real estate taxes current. April, we received $1,143,234.41. Year-to-date, $1,416,144.98. Budget amounts for 2020 are as follows. The general fund is $1,450,000. Debt service fund is $500,000. The parks, $251,750, and the library, $50,000, for a total of $2,251,750. Delinquent city taxes. Prior year's taxes collected, we received nothing this month. Year-to-date, it's $4,672.39. 2020 budget amount is $4,000. City taxes collected by Portnoy. Nothing so far this year. City taxes collected by Westmoreland Tax Claim Bureau. We received nothing for April. Year-to-date, $42,268.73. 2020 budget amount is $120,000. Total year-to-date taxes, $1,463,086.10. Distribution for the city real estate taxes are as follows. The general fund received $942,144.93. Debt service fund received $324,877.56. Parks received $163,575.86, and the library fund received $32,487.75, for a total of $1,463,086.10. Mayor, that concludes that report. I need to vote on this, and I have a comment after the vote.
I move to approve the treasurer's report as read. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any questions on the treasurer's report?
Just two. Jerry, the first one is, Jerry, you there?
Can you hear him?
No.
Oh, he can't hear you.
Okay.
What,
So,
I'll relay.
My question is to him, we've gotten 1.4 mil in so far in real estate taxes. Would it be fair estimation to say that we've gone over 90 to 95% of what we're going to expect to get in?
With the extension of the payments, I think we're going to meet it. That's my opinion. If it comes in the way it is, but we should not have a problem.
Meeting it. What I'm saying is we're going to be we're into May, and my question is to you, almost all the taxes are in already.
I don't have that figure, so I don't know what all was coming in. So far, it's still in the process of being deposited.
Okay. All right.
Any other discussion on the treasurer's report? Call the roll, please.
Councilor Chakowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilor Coles,
Yes.
Councilor Gregor,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes, treasurer's report has been approved. And
Also, on the collection that I was doing for the city real estate and county taxes, I had very positive response from the citizens of Monessen, and we took in approximately 25 to 30 accounts on that, and everybody was satisfied the way it was handled. And everybody got receipts or requested receipts. We mailed them out of the office. In the future, if we want to keep on doing this, I do not have a problem. And the only thing I would probably maybe extend it to weekends, like on a Saturday, since we're there on a Saturday. And that would be about the only difference on that. But other than that, I have no complaints on them, and the people were happy to get it done that way.
I'm glad it's gone well.
Okay, that concludes my reports.
Thank you. City Controller's report for the month ending April 2020.
Okay, the general fund community bank checking account, bank reconciliation as of April 30th, 2020. Beginning bank balance as of April 30th, 2020, $305,343.49. Deposits, $1,129,113.88. Expenses, $444,844.88. The ending bank balance as of April 30th, 2020, $989,612.49. Outstanding deposits, $113,364.62. Outstanding checks, $431,630.97. And reconciled balance to bank statement, $671,346.14. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Is that in the general fund?
Yes.
Yes. You said? Yes. Moving on to new business, I'd like to make a motion to accept the retirement of Lieutenant Brian M. Vitale effective June 22nd, 2020. And again, a special thanks to Brian for all of his years of service to the residents of Monessen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, I see he's retiring underneath a pension liability, disability. How does that work? It's non...
Yeah, there's a procedure to follow for that under your pension ordinance where it's a request. So this letter presumably would be treated as an initial application for a disability pension. That would need to then be handled under our pension ordinance, which requires, we've talked about that, requires 3 physicians to do a review to determine that he actually qualifies for a disability pension. And thereafter, then it goes to the pension board for final approval. And then that also, and then there's a calculation of what his actual pension benefit will be under a disability pension as well for the pension board to approve as well. So that's the process that needs to take place between now and his effective date of retirement.
So this is just the first step.
Yeah.
So we just have to accept it to get the process started.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just-
the next step is it has to be approved by the pension board. So the pension board will have to meet to formally approve it as a disability pension, and then also the actual pension benefit he needs to receive.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on that?
Second,
Yes. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilman Gregor,
Yes.
Councilman Drakowski,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill.
Yes, motion carries. And next, I have a motion to accept the resignation of Marvin Davis effective May 15th, 2020. And again, also a special thanks to Marvin for his dedicated service to all the residents of Monessen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilman Gregor,
Yes.
Councilman Drakowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill.
Yes, motion carries. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city administrator to advertise for the part-time position of code officer. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Do we have, do we have a salary and a job description on those yet?
John, do you have a job description? What was the first thing? Did you say salary?
Yeah, salary and a job description, yeah. I don't think we heard anything for that position yet.
Would you just retain the
Yeah,
same?
I'll just get it out of the book. We have a job description in the book.
Okay.
In order, so I'll pull that out.
Okay. So it would just remain the same?
And you guys, as part of the hiring process, will want to set what the compensation is because, depending on the applicants and who you end up going with, you may want to adjust the compensation accordingly. So you can do that as part of the hiring process.
Anything else on that? Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Wozzachowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilman Gregor,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes, motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city administrator to advertise for the city clerk position. Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions, discussion?
Yes. How do you authorize the city administrator to advertise for a city clerk position when there's been no discussion on what the city clerk position is going to be in writing, and there's been no discussion whatsoever about what the salary would be?
So to answer the first part of that, there is, we do have an ordinance on the books. I tried to locate it this morning, describing the city's description of city clerk. And then, of course, there's the third-class city code description of city clerk as well. So I will keep looking for that ordinance. I've seen it. I have to locate it. John, did you have a description? I can't recall. Like a draft for an ad or anything like that?
You were asking for the amount of money.
Yeah, like the salary and the job description.
Yeah, so anyway, to figure $40,000 to $50,000 is realistic because the figure of $60,000 for an administrator is unrealistic. And that should be in the $65,000 to $75,000 range.
Is that
So-
based on like surrounding?
Yeah, around the area, some as high as 90,000. So I would say that 40 to 50,000. We'll use the city ordinance and third-class city. I'll put it together and put an ad together for it.
But this motion cannot go on without all that put in place that we can inspect it. We don't approve things and we don't move forward on things unless we have all the information in front of us to make a logical, economical, and a decision for the taxpayers of the city of Monessen and what they're spending my money on.
In front of you right now is 40 to 50,000. I don't know what else I could say.
Tim?
Well, no, 40 to 50,000 is
a range.
A range.
Yes, it is.
So again, I don't see a job description laying out exactly what this person would be, and again, there's no reason if someone's trying to move forward with this, that is spelled out for everybody to see and question.
Tim,
So, I mean, I always recommend you have a job description, and whenever you ultimately, if you hire a city clerk, you have an employment agreement that is included with that position as well. There is just generally what's provided in the third-class city code, and I'm not aware, and I've never seen the ordinance for Monessen for what the city clerk's position entails or what its responsibilities are. With respect to the salary, for this particular motion, it's not required to have a salary in it. Now, the motion to actually hire someone certainly needs to have what their salary is going to be. But I mean, I would think that you guys at least would want to discuss and have a sense of when you're talking with potential applicants, what the range might be based once again on, ultimately what their experience is, what their credentials are, all of that. But this motion itself is not required to have an actual salary in it, although the hiring motion in the future, if you guys so choose to hire someone, would need to have or should have a salary attached to it as part of the motion.
Well, I myself would like to see exactly what the responsibilities of the city clerk is going to be, what exactly are they going to do, what they can't do. Have you spoken to the union about this?
The union has not.
You know, there was a thing in the paper last week. I think it was Friday, maybe it was Monday. I don't remember. I think it was Friday of last week. Our Sir Mill shut down temporarily because of COVID-19. That's a tax base you're not going to get. All right? We don't know what's going to happen as this goes on, and we should be hoarding our money as best we can instead of going out there and spending. If I remember correctly, last month, we had a total of $9,000 in approved bills. And over almost half of that was the solicitor. No, nothing, I'm not pointing the fact that what Mr. Witt's cost was. I was just making an evaluation of saying there was only $9,000. So there wasn't a lot of work probably having to be done. So again, why are we looking at a city clerk in this type of situation, the way the atmosphere is, that there's no reason why the city administrator can't, you know, unfortunately take a little bit here and say, this isn't the time to do this. You know, I've been doing it all along. I need to continue to do it so the city's in a better position.
To answer the first part of that, so I can only find bits and pieces on our Code 360 where our ordinances are. I have to find the paper copy. But for third-class city code, appointment of the city clerk, it says, council shall appoint a city clerk whose compensation shall be fixed by ordinance, who meets all of the following criteria. 1, is an at-will employee. 2, has no property interest in the city clerk's position. And section B says, council may by ordinance or resolution prescribe duties of the city clerk in addition to those established by law. The city clerk shall have the power of a notary public to administer oaths in any manner pertaining to the business of the city or in a legal proceeding in which the city is interested. The records of council shall be in the actual or constructive custody of the city clerk and shall be subject to inspection and copying in accordance with the Act of February 14, 2008, known as Right to Know Law. So that's what third-class city code says, and then like I said, there's further description in our ordinances that I have to find the paper copy for, but we do have something.
So
And it's an at-will employee.
What's that?
It's not
Sorry?
true.
What did you say?
No, somebody said something. It's the position's an at-will position.
Correct.
So is the city administrator.
Correct.
Okay. So why can't John continue to do what he's doing? And at $60,000, we wait to see what's going to happen as the year goes on because we're in uncharted waters like everybody else.
I mean, they should be 2 positions. They should have been 2 positions when Judy was here as well.
Okay, but that's even more of a glaring problem that she did 2 and 3 positions, whether it was right or wrong, and we're looking to say, oh, we're going to run another 40 or 50, which isn't in the budget.
And she was incredibly overworked, working weekends with no compensation.
That may be the case, but then I'm saying again, last month there was only $9,000 in bill. I probably have a hard time saying, and I'm not saying anything against anybody, but I doubt that John was overworked and swamped with only $9,000 in bill.
Well, I can't speak for John, so I don't know.
Again, we didn't budget this. This was never budgeted, and where are you coming up with the money for this? You have to come somewhere. You just can't keep adding things to something that don't exist. Did I lose a connection?
Yes.
I lost the connection?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I can hear you just fine. I just,
This wasn't budgeted, and there's nowhere that you're gonna come up with $40,000 or $50,000 all of a sudden. I mean, we can't be doing expenses like this. This is the wrong time to be even considering things like this. We're asking the public, you know, you don't even know what any more money's gonna come in because people might, this may continue on into the summer, into the fall. Now, the CDBG shouldn't be paying for it.
You mean DCED?
That's what he did, yes.
Oh, I think he meant DCED.
Well, even if that was even a possibility, it's not been discussed, it's not been brought up, it's not been blessed by DCED or anybody, so why even put the notion of a motion out there for something there's nothing to back it up?
John, you want to speak to that? I do. This is Gil Cole. You know, in 4 months, John Harhide straightened out what a mess it was when you were the acting mayor down here, and you are a big part of the problems that we have down here in the city, and you keep nitpicking at everybody and everything that goes on in the process of putting this city where it's supposed to be. And I don't know why you continue to do this. You are part of the problem that we're trying to straighten out down here, and you're picking at us. What's been done in the last 4 months, you were down here for over 2 years and you couldn't straighten it out. Why don't you understand that?
I'm sorry, I apologize. Mr. Cole.
You don't have to apologize to me. I don't want your apology.
No, I'm just apologizing for interrupting you. Can I please answer your question?
Do what you want.
Where were you?
You want to know? Because I didn't want to come down here and be involved in all the things that you did. You know what you did, you interrupted me. I'm going to interrupt you. You were down here, and I'm sitting down here as a minority person or whatever, and I'm bringing up something that I've kind of alluded to with you and the people in the administration was down here. And I'm going to ask you a question to get started with. Can you tell me what Section 3 is?
Are you going to answer this question?
Just answer my question. I'm asking you first. I'm asking you first. I'm asking you first.
Is there any more discussion on the motion at hand?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The motion that was brought up, I was commenting on the motion.
I hope you heard what I said.
I don't really care what you said.
Well, I don't care much about what you're saying, but
Is
you
there
keep
any other discussion?
nitpicking at everything. You need to stop.
Okay. If there's not going to be any other discussion, please call the roll.
Well, just a one point on there. Before, this is a motion to advertise for
Correct.
that position.
Correct.
Before you fill that position, if you fill that position, you are going to want to designate a salary. You
And
are
job
going to want to get a job description, and you are going to want to clarify with the union that it doesn't present a union issue in terms of shifting union work to.
It's not union work.
Well, we should still get.
Yeah, I mean, we want to confirm that, because depending on what roles that person has, it could or couldn't be union work, and I've run into this issue elsewhere, so I want to make sure that it doesn't
So,
present
Mr.
an
Witt,
issue.
Tim,
Yes.
how do you advertise something you haven't discussed and know what's going down on paper yet? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, it's to advertise, but it's not to approve actually hiring somebody. So the actual hiring takes place later. Hypothetically, it could be done this way. There's lots of different ways the municipalities do it.
So have you ever advertised for a job that you didn't have a job description or an idea of a salary?
Me personally?
For your firm? Anything like that? So if somebody
No.
applies?
No.
No, you don't do that.
There is a job description in an ordinance.
Well, I don't see it.
I mean,
I'm serious.
I will keep looking for it, but there is an ordinance in existence.
Well, then how about tabling this until you get it and we can all decide on what the salary range should be?
We could send you the job description when we advertise it, if the motion's approved.
Isn't that
Okay,
like...
just one thing. You know, I know you want to advertise for a city clerk, but I think we should seriously look at where we stand and where we think we might stand in a few months, because that money that we're paying for a city clerk may be the money we need to need for payroll towards the end of the year, where we won't be able to pay our employees. That $40,000 would help towards payroll. We always end up in a bind at the end of the year. We have to question whether we're going to laying people off or not pay bills.
Another
It's
thing,
just
was-
the reality.
the other
It's the
thing
reality.
that Lois has mentioned too, 40 or 50,000 is nothing compared to the person. This is my asking was, is this a full-time position?
Yes.
Okay, so where have you figured out what benefits are going to cost in this equation also? Can you give us the cost breakdown, please? Mr. Harhide, Mr. Cole? Because you can't hire somebody who's just say 40 or 50 grand, and then all of a sudden there's health insurance, there's benefits, there's everything involved, which doubles and triples what the cost is, and we don't control that. So have you all come to that conclusion yet?
Did you, when you were in operation and in charge down here, did you and whoever was involved in city council make any efforts to, and attempts to get money from any outside other sources? Did you? You never looked ahead. All you did was rob Peter to pay Paul, and then Joe borrowed money from Paul, which caused a problem down here. You have McKeesport. You have Aliquippa. These people have gotten over $3 million grants from the governor, and there's all kinds of money out there. Did you guys try and make any attempts to get any money? That's why you're bumping our heads talking about we don't have money. We're looking ahead. The bills are being paid, which is something that you couldn't hardly do. And you're now down here, again, nitpicking at what's going on down here. We are making all the efforts that we can. We're doing the best that we can. Quit this nitpicking that you're doing. You do it every meeting you do it. You need to stop it.
So does someone want to answer my question about the
I just answered your question.
No, you didn't answer my question. You didn't give me a figure on what the benefit cost would be.
I gave you a statement, sir.
No,
But
give me a
you want to argue my point that
All
I'm
right.
putting up in your face.
Excuse me. Why don't we get these numbers together, and why don't we table this, and we get these numbers together for the next work session? It'll be a month delay, and I'm going to be the first one to say that this position needs to be filled because of what was not done over the last 6 years.
In the previous administration, right?
By both, the previous administration and one that before that.
Right.
When they combined these two positions together, a lot of stuff was not done.
Exactly right.
We had to have someone come in here to help straighten this out. Mr. Harhide has done a good job on it, but there's no one that's been in the last 6 years been able to do this job because of the way it's been put together. They've made attempts, but it just hasn't been done. We've missed out on a lot of funding. Things haven't been done properly. We've spent money because things weren't done. We haven't had funds collected because for a simple reason, at one time we didn't renew the contracts from the Westmoreland Housing Authority. Those contracts weren't renewed back last October. This is one of the reasons why the city's in the situation that it's in. Because we haven't had the proper manpower, people power down here.
My question, thank you, Councilman Greger, was only before you make a motion to authorize and move forward with something, everybody needs to have all the facts, and nothing's been presented.
Well, I will agree with you to a certain extent, and perhaps we should table this till we get those numbers for you and get the ordinances. But this position needs to be filled.
Matt, will you go along with tabling this until we can get the figure and the information?
We could do that.
I'll make a recommendation that we table it, what Mr. Gregory was saying, recommending.
We need a motion to table.
Gil removes his second and you remove the motion and that.
Do you remove your second?
I remove, yeah, okay, I
Okay.
remove
And
my
I'll
second.
remove my motion and we'll provide more information, but I do echo Councilman Greger that this is something that needs to happen. We need this position filled. All right. Moving on to letter E. Motion to approve all part-time employees to an hourly rate of $9.50 an hour beginning June 1st, 2020, and union approval has been received. Is there a second? Letter E.
Could you read that again?
It's a motion to approve all part-time employees to an hourly rate of $9.50 an hour, beginning June 1st, 2020. Union approval has been received. Yeah, letter
E or G?
E is in,
I second it, but mine's just listed down here on the G, on the G.
oh,
I make a motion with
you second?
second.
Okay, is there discussion on that, letter E, that
So-
motion?
My only question there, Mayor, is does that mean that the code position will pay no more than $9.50 an hour?
I don't remember what the starting rate initially was, but that would be the starting rate.
Well, that's not what this says. This says that they're gonna go to $9.50 an hour.
Yes.
And if you already made a motion for the part, to advertise for code officer, that's an hourly position.
Right.
Part-time.
Correct.
So
This is
according
bringing,
to that, it can't go more than $9.50 an hour.
well, this is bringing,
Yeah.
this is bringing the part-time employees up to the same hourly rate.
That's my question. Would that affect the code officer's position?
I believe that it would, and I believe that that's what that position was already paying.
So that's the max then that's going to pay for the code officer.
The default, with this motion, the default would be that all part-time positions have a starting rate of $9.50.
Okay.
If you guys wanted to exceed that for, a particular position, let's say you have an applicant that's very well qualified for the position, has a lot of credentials, a lot of education, certification, whatnot, then as part of the hiring motion, you would want to specifically put a different or higher rate for that specific person in that specific position.
Okay, I just was making sure it was clear, Kim. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else on that? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Aye.
Councilman Gregor,
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes, motion carries. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve a committee of 4 to interview applicants for positions with the city. That committee would consist of Councilwoman Thomas, Treasurer Gerald Saxon, City Administrator John Harhai, and myself, Mayor Sherrod. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Well, do we even need it now that we've tabled the other motion?
Well, I mean, this would be going
Okay,
forward.
this is for the accounts receivable position.
Yeah, because there's still that as well.
That's what we already advertised for.
Question for the solicitor then. Isn't anybody on council able to interview? There's no discrimination on picking 4 people. It's usually who can do it, so you don't have a quorum or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's, since it's an interview and it deals with personnel items, it's not a quorum issue per se, because that's a, exception obviously to the Sunshine Act. Typically the purpose of that, any committee that is going to interview is to make a recommendation to council on the person that's interviewed. But all council members should have the opportunity to at least interview or speak with the applicant prior to any hiring decision.
Right, so I want to make sure that's perfectly clear that it's not just the people that are mentioned here. Quite frankly, all is available to do it, whether Mr. Gregor wanted to, or Mr. Cole wanted to, or I wanted to. It is not specific just to 4 individuals. Is that correct, Ken?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, every council member has to have the ability to speak with and talk to the applicant and do their own interview with the applicant if they'd like. It seems like the intent of this is to create, in a sort of a personnel committee that would be then providing a recommendation to council as the personnel committee. But that's in addition to, all the council members having the ability on their own to also speak with and interview the applicant.
Which means that they would also, if somebody was, if they were applying or if they were interviewing 2 or 3, 4 people for a particular position, and these individuals met them all, they would have to, if one of the other council members wanted to be able to interview all 3 or 4, either they would show up at that interview or they would be able to conduct something else.
Yeah, that's correct. They could conduct something else to have a discussion with all those people. Because once again, all council members should get a copy of any applications that are received.
Okay, so just so everybody's clear on that, I want to make sure everybody's clear that it's not just people delegated to this, it is all of council is available to do this office.
Wouldn't it just be easier just to, when we're going to interview, the committee that's going to interview, just let the rest of council know, and if the other councilmen want to attend, then they could attend?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Wouldn't that be the easiest way to do it?
That's what I was gonna say, Donnie, because it wouldn't make sense to have these people coming back and forth.
I agree,
Just let
Lois.
everybody be aware of the dates that we're gonna interview, and whoever wants to be present will be there.
Yep, that's fine.
Sounds like a plan.
So that's basically how we've been doing it. So,
How
who's
have we been doing what?
with the interview, with whoever is available? Who seconded?
Well,
I made sense.
Donnie.
we're going to go on with this going forward, am I correct then?
I mean, if,
So we don't need the motion. If someone's going to say, here's the applicant, they're going to be at such and such a time, at such and, down here at City Hall, this is when we're going to apply them, if you can make it, not, let me
Yeah,
know.
that's-
if you can't.
that's what Dawn just said, yes.
Because that didn't happen in the past.
Who seconded it? Was it, did you second it?
Donnie did.
I did.
Do you want to continue, or
I move that we vote on it. It's
Okay.
it's
All right.
immaterial.
call the roll?
Councilman Cole,
Aye.
Councilman Grader,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
I thought we just decided we were going to table this.
No, I said I
No, no.
move the
Talk
vote.
about tabling.
That was it.
Table what?
That was the other issue.
The motion that there wasn't going to be just certain people, that everybody on council can do it, and we were going to, as Lois suggested, and Mr. Gregor also agreed, that there would just be a place and time. We don't need to have a committee, and if you can all make it, you
Was on
can.
the
If you
city
can't, well,
administrator.
we'll just get the other information, and that's it.
It's just an interview committee. If you want to come, they'll notify you. They'll notify me. They'll notify Gil. If you want to be there, be there. It's just a committee, an interview committee. The motion's on the floor. I move that it's voted on.
Okay, John, who cast their vote already? Do you
I
just
did.
want to call
Yeah.
the votes again?
Councilman Coles,
Aye.
Councilman Grader,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes,
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, I make a motion to approve the request made by Ron Cromulak, Commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 1190, to attach nameplates to the pavilions in City Park. The names are of fallen service members, and to reiterate, we read this at the work session, but those names are, the plaques would read as followed: for Shelter 1, the SP4 Robert Allen Loda Memorial Shelter; the Shelter 2, the SP4 George Oral Malika Memorial Shelter; Shelter number 3, the SPC Anthony Eric Madison Memorial Shelter; and the walking track, the Captain John Patrick Umberco Memorial Walking Track; and Amphitheater, Lieutenant Colonel Edward Delfonso Memorial Amphitheater. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Councilor Grader,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
yes.
Councilman Coles,
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. Motion carries.
Mayor, I must excuse myself for the balance of the meeting due to prior commitments for this evening.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve repainting the curbs yellow at the following locations due to lack of visibility when a vehicle is trying to enter traffic on Schoonmaker Avenue and 4th Street and Schoonmaker Avenue and Oneida Street. And as we discussed last week, this will require movement of one handicap parking space back towards 1st Street. The placard will be moved to the second post and the curb will be painted blue accordingly.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
Lois, did you get a chance to look at that?
Yes, I went down. The only question is that I agree with this totally, and I know you guys said they BB gun that mirror out of there. That's still a dangerous area, even with the curbside painted. Is it how expensive are those round mirrors, the circular mirrors, to put back up there? Because once you're out there so far, you're edged out there so far, by then you're nipped when that car is flying through there.
I agree. If we
I don't
can,
know how expensive they are. Yeah, I know it's been busy, but you have to be able to see before you keep edging out there, because by the time you get out there so far, it's going to be too late to get back up there.
yeah, if we can find those mirrors, I think we should put them back up, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
But I just think we should. It's just, they work, but I know kids do what they do, but they did help a lot, because it's definitely you cannot see coming out of there.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna go straight up Oneida, that's like, you just have to like pull out and hope for the best.
Whose van is that sitting there?
And even coming down on that, when you're making that right, you cannot see those cars coming, so you're edged out with your front end sticking halfway out already.
Right. Yeah, I think we should have, we'll reach out to Rodney and see what we can do about that mirror.
Right. But we definitely need it, and moving that back will help. Moving that, like the space back once will help.
Yeah. Is there anything else on that motion? Okay, call the roll.
Councilwoman Jakowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilman Gregor,
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes, motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 4 of 2020 of the City Council of the City of Monessen to implement certain property tax relief provisions of Act 15 of 2020, to extend the discount period for real property taxes, and to waive any fees or penalties associated with the late payment of real property taxes. And this is in accordance with what the county has done and what the General Assembly and the Governor signed into law recently. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Aye.
Councilman Gregor,
Aye.
Councilwoman Jakowski,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes, motion carries. Motion to approve Resolution 5 of 2020 of the City of Monessen authorizing the Housing Consortium Cooperation Agreement with the County of Westmoreland. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? I know we touched on this earlier.
Does anybody know if there is any requirement from the city's part in this to like have to do matching funds or something?
No.
I don't see anything.
And this goes to the points that I wanted to make on this as well. The agreement that we got was the old agreement, so it's not actually even the new agreement. It was said that the new agreement would basically be identical to the old agreement. Under the old agreement, there is no mention of a price match or a cost match or anything like that. Any funds that would come from the city's allocation of the phone program funds. But we would want to make sure that before a new agreement is signed, once we're provided with that copy, that it does conform with the same exact version that you guys are looking at here, which is once again the old agreement. But to answer your question in short, Councilman Orzechowski, no, there's no mention in this agreement of there being any sort of a match or anything from the city where the city would be required to, put general funds or any other restricted funds towards this program.
Okay, and the money would come from the county of Westmoreland, and it wouldn't come out of any of our coffers, am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So it would come from it enables Westmoreland County to receive the funding, the home program funding from HUD and DCED, and then the county administers it on the part of the city.
So Tim, do you happen to by chance know a ballpark figure of what a city the size of ours got in Westmoreland County this year?
There, other municipalities have gotten, this year, the last year that I'm aware of that I have personal knowledge on it was about $150,000 of home grant funding that was made available to a municipality of Monessen size.
Now, one other question in this, and it's a great thing, but my question is then, let's assume we get $100,000. Is that $100,000 specifically targeted certain aspects of what you can do and what you can't do?
Yes, definitely. There are restrictions in terms of what you would be able to and what you wouldn't be able to put that funding towards.
I mean, my question comes into play, let's say, like the mayor said, there's a house that's not completely fallen over and the window knocks it down. It's structurally good, it's okay, but it needs work. Is this solely for materials? Does this cover labor to put those materials into the home? Any permits? Any fees?
Yeah, it's different grant programs that are offered for this grant program funding. And so what they'll do is whenever they find out that there's this funding available, they'll notify all of the participating municipalities, and any municipalities that are interested in that funding, knowing what the restrictions are, they can then take that information to decide whether they're interested in applying for it or not. And then if they apply, they're eligible to receive it. And then it has to be used, obviously, for the specific purposes. Generally, it's not just something that can be used to fund building materials, building permits, and things like that. Some of the grant programs that would be available through this, though, in the past at least, have been available, at least some of the funds have been available for that kind of a purpose, though. But it's not all the funds are just generally available for something like that.
Thank you, Tim. And the other thing is, do you know, to your best recollection, and I'm not going to hold you to it, is there time limits on these funds?
Yes, there are time limits. So they'll come to, if they receive an allocation of these funds, they'll notify all the participating municipalities. Given the nature of the funds, some municipalities won't be able to take advantage of them because there are some requirements and limitations that make them ill-suited to some of the projects in some municipalities. If the funds are not used within, I think it's 18 months of the date that the funding allocation is made, then those funds go back, in a sense, to the county, who can then reallocate to other municipalities that are participating municipalities.
Okay, and if part of the funds go towards, say, the labor cost of a particular project, okay, is that required to be bid out to the lowest bidder?
It would if it's a contract directly with the municipality. In some of these cases, the contracts are, the municipality and the county have sub-grant recipients to individual property owners to fix and revitalize and remediate their own properties, in which case then those would not have to be bid out by the city. It's the individual property owners that are responsible for selecting and vetting contractors, and sometimes there's an approved list of contractors they can use through the program.
I think the city did something like that maybe like 15 years or so ago, because I remember there was some sort of grant program to homeowners, like directly to them, and they had to use it to rehab houses.
Yeah, that's an example of, that's common, that's an example of what the home program funding used to be. That's changed a lot, so a lot of those programs aren't in place anymore, but that's an example where Monessen probably did receive an allocation in the past, and it was used like that.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Anything else on this? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Cole?
Yes?
Councilman Grigger?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay. Motion for approval for a fee to be set for a conditional use application. The application fee is to be $450. for high mast signs of variable heights.
Just to clarify, I think it's, that's the conditional use application for any, or that's the fee for any
Oh.
conditional use application, including high mast signs with variable heights, if you get a conditional use application for one of those.
Okay, so yes, that is, as the solicitor said, a conditional use application fee for all conditional use applications, but high mast signs of variable heights is one example of that. And as we discussed last week, that's what sparked this motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion on that?
So Tim, does this also mean, is this a one-time fee or is this an annual fee?
This would be a one-time fee, so when there's a conditional use that it's, where somebody's required to get a conditional use approval under your zoning ordinance, that technically should be going through city council and there should be a public hearing. So there are costs that council has associated with that. That hearing is only conducted once and then the conditional use is approved. So that would be a one-time fee to help offset the cost that the city would have in processing those conditional use applications.
And there would be, is it my estimation, that your office would be drafting a contract with whoever wanted to put a high sign up so that someone didn't, organization, a business, or whoever might want to be coming in to do this, put it up, and a year and a half later, they're done with it. But it ain't going there.
Yeah, I mean, really, what the best practice there is for zoning ordinances to actually include language that has contingencies in place for that exact situation. And oftentimes that does have a standard contract that's signed by any applicant as to what's going to happen to a structure like that, or some posting of some sort of a bond or something like that that would address a demolition issue if that would occur. But that ideally should be in your zoning ordinance, so it's consistent across the board from anybody that's applying for something like that. We'd have to take a look at the zoning ordinance and see what requirements it has in place for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anything else with that? Okay, call the roll.
Councilman Cole?
Aye.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes, motion carries. Next, we have the second reading. It's a motion for approval of ordinance number 1 of 2020, approving collection procedures and adopting interest and schedule of attorney fees and charges to be added to the amount collected as part of unpaid municipal claims for delinquent accounts. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions?
You said Portnoy, right?
Correct.
So my only question there is, I know they were adamant at the beginning of the year to go with Portnoy, but have we seen anything from them yet? Everything I've seen every meeting so far has been zero.
Well, they haven't been able to do anything because we haven't adopted this ordinance yet.
But they've also been, I think, am I correct, or they're responsible for going after people with back taxes also?
Yes.
And garbage.
I
Back
believe-
tax, is the county responsible for back taxes on property?
I believe so.
Well, it's garbage then.
Yes, it's definitely garbage.
Well, I think there was a time lapse where they were collecting everything further back beyond a certain point. And this would be anything from, that point forward at this point. I don't know what they've been doing in terms of collection work or how far back they started, or, before what point they're working on.
You mean the county?
No, I mean Port.
Oh,
Well, I think at one time we were required to give them so many names a year, and then we just quit doing it. The city just stopped. We haven't been turning anything over to them for the last 6 years, or 7, or maybe, I'm sorry, more like 4 or 5, 2015.
And that could explain that too.
Yeah, so the reason why they haven't collected anything, as you'll see in the treasurer's report, is because we haven't completed that process by adopting this ordinance. I think we had a resolution, if couple months ago for this. That was one part of it.
That was to prove the contract. So
Right.
this is to prove the actual fees associated with their collection
Right.
that would get added on to the collection.
Anything else with that? Call the roll.
Councilman Grigor,
Aye.
Councilman Orchowski,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes, motion carries. Ordinance number 1 of 2020 has been adopted. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2 of 2020, an ordinance of the council for the city of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, repealing ordinance number 1 of 2019 of the city of Monessen. And as we discussed last week, this is in reference to the fine ordinance from last year. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on this?
So please tell me again
It's
why
just first reading.
we're repealing something that makes, that puts in
No,
force
you wanna
something that makes sure council does what they were elected to do?
Well, as the opening of the ordinance touches upon, we believe it's an infringement of free speech and association of rights of elected officials. And again, I was never notified that these fines were taking place except for once. So to my knowledge, I was only fined once, and if I was fined more than once, I was never notified. So we shouldn't have an ordinance that is not properly enforced or that's unenforceable. As I said last week.
There, and I would ask the solicitor this question, where in possibility this has an infringement on someone's speech, where would it possibly have anything to do with infringement on speech?
So
They're not making a statement.
yeah, the only nexus to speech that I could see is a situation where if somebody refuses to participate in the council meeting or city affairs because they're protesting some sort of an action, or somehow they're relating that to some sort of speech. I could see how that could create a chilling effect on the potential speech that someone is trying to, the point they're trying to make. I'm not saying that this ordinance in and of itself is absolutely a clear clear violation of someone's First Amendment rights in most cases or all cases.
I don't see it as a violation, and if no one's violating, what's wrong with having an ordinance just to make sure we do what we were elected to do?
Well,
As long as we're doing our job, it's not gonna affect any of us.
well, again,
But I think we're not, it's not just us doing it, you have your legislators and your senators pushing it too for all, not just us, for everybody across the board. We are called to do a certain thing, and we need to be held responsible for that, accountable to that. So having an ordinance is not gonna affect any of us if we're doing our job.
well, again, the ordinance wasn't enforced either, so,
Actually, it was enforced.
Was there ever an ordinance, on the books of the city,
for this,
for this particular thing? Was there
Before,
ever? No. Who was the one that instigated or brought it up or proposed such an ordinance come into existence?
City council did.
Okay, who on city council, I'm asking, perpetrated it? One person, two people, three people, who initiated it?
There was only 3 of us at the time, so 2 people never showed up for 2 years.
That's not what I'm asking you. I asked you a question first. Who on city council and in the legal authority for this city initiated such a thing, if it didn't exist? Come to these meetings because you did a lot of things, along with some other people, that were improper. And I was never a part of it, and I was not going to come down here and argue with a bunch of lawyers to make me look like a whatever. It didn't happen. It was a matter of time that went past. The stage got set with different people, and we're trying to work this thing out with the city. I asked him the question, and we can't go any further with your trying to knock it down, and I'm asking a question. Who was it? Was it the Delfonso lawyer? Was it you, or was it you, Lois? Who was the person that initiated this thing?
City council.
You're not answering my question.
Well,
City council is a group.
I feel
I'm
like-
talking about individual people here.
I think,
Answer the question, man.
We
You
decided-
can't. You see, you don't want to answer it.
if there's no other discussion on this, let's
Let's
just
get
take
on
the
with
vote.
it.
So,
Question.
again,
Question.
if you're not violating anything, it's like law.
There's nothing here to violate. You violated my rights when
It's
you
my,
perpetrated
may I
it.
have the floor, Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. It's my understanding that something is moving through the state legislature, and state senate at this time.
John,
It is.
And
John.
eventually,
Speak to that.
eventually it will become law if it passes.
I doubt it.
It's not, that ain't gonna happen.
If it does become law, then there'll be proper grounds. I really don't see the purpose of this ordinance. I truly don't.
If it becomes
Well,
law up there, then
If you had fined them, if the fine had been more than, what was it, $25 a meeting? If you'd have removed their pay for the month or something, there'd been more of a bite to this ordinance. But it was more of a nuisance than anything else, in my opinion.
personal.
No,
And
we were told that you can't you can't go after someone's complete pay.
okay, that
Told,
may all be
told
true.
by who?
Excuse me, I have the floor.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, excuse me, I apologize.
Thank you. I just think this is a nuisance ordinance, and I think it should be repealed. And I move that we vote on it.
It's an ordinance that was adopted by city council, and it had a lot of backing from the people that were there, the citizens that came, because they wanted to know what was being done while people were still collecting the paychecks that weren't showing up to do their job. It was as simple as that.
I never collected a
I
paycheck.
don't have to answer for it. You two have to answer to the public, not to me or not to Lois. Whatever you do is up to you. You have to answer to the public, not me.
Give it up.
All right. Call the roll, please.
Again, so my question is, why are we wanting to repeal something?
I have stated why. Please call the roll.
We don't go past things. until
I have
everyone has a
stated,
discussion.
I have stated why. Please call the roll.
Councilor Grigor,
Aye.
Councilor Orchowski,
No.
Councilor Thomas,
No.
Councilor Coles,
Aye.
Mayor Sherrill.
Aye. Motion carries.
Just
I find
This
it
is the
one of
first,
people
this is the
Again.
first reading of this ordinance. So we still have a second reading.
and it needs to be advertised and go through that whole process.
Okay. Letter N. This is the first reading of ordinance number 3 of 2020, fire and burning ordinance, an ordinance providing for and regulating the use of fires and burning by the establishment of specific regulations, exceptions and definitions, providing for enforcement, prescribing penalties for violation, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the first reading of ordinance number 3 of 2020. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? I know we touched on it last week. I didn't know if any of you had anything to add to it.
This will have to be advertised too, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct. There's nothing. Call the roll, please.
I have a question,
Oh. Mhm.
real quick, Mayor. So how are we addressing, and I know this is only the first reading, and I'd ask Mr. Witt his thoughts on this also. Let's assume for a second, all right, this is going to get advertised, am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
And then there'll be a second reading, and then is there a third reading, or after the second reading, it can get a motion?
Second reading is the adoption.
Okay, so here's my question I have. Let's assume for a second, and this could be pretty much that it's going to happen, the unfortunate COVID-19 is going to go into summer.
Probably.
Okay, we can't control it.
Right.
Okay, but we can't control people safe and everything else, our employees. we put this out there, there's a reading, and how do people get to read what this ordinance is? Because
We will,
getting advertised every time in the paper, so that's going to get expensive.
we will do what we did for the agenda. We will post it in the window at City Hall so people can look at it. We will, I will send it to local and regional news outlets. I'm sure they won't read the whole thing, but they can summarize it. We will also post it on social media. And then, of course, if anyone wants to read the whole thing and have a tangible copy, they could contact us and request a copy. And whether we mail it or email it or what have you. I said, and if someone wants a tangible copy, they can request a copy, whether, are you still there?
Hello?
Can you hear us? Are you there? Hello?
Somebody on mute?
No, we hear you. Are you there?
I am here now.
Okay.
I am now, I wasn't before.
Oh, that was weird. Okay. So I was saying that if someone wants a tangible copy, aside from us, posting it in the window on social media, sending out press releases, if someone wants a tangible copy, they can request one from us by either emailing or calling or whatever, and we can make arrangements with them, whether we mail it or email it or however we can get it to people so that they can look at it.
Okay.
So, and we'll do that for each of the ordinances. Okay. Anything else on that? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes,
Councilman Coles,
Yes,
Councilman Grigor,
Aye.
Mayor Sherrall.
Yes. Motion carries. That is, again, the first reading of this ordinance. Okay. Next, I have the first reading of Downtown Parking Ordinance, or Downtown Parking Ordinance 4-2020, an ordinance confirming current on-street parking restrictions, prohibitions, and regulations for portions of Eastgate Avenue, Rebecca Street, Monongahela Street. I have a cutoff here.
Should put it
Rebecca Street, Monongahela Street, I think that should say Perenning Boulevard. 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street, 5th Street, 6th Street, 7th Street, 8th Street, 10th Street, Miranda Way, Donner Avenue, and Schoonmaker Avenue, establishing 2-hour parking and eliminating metered parking for portions of Oneida Street, 1st Street, 2nd Street, 5th Street, 6th Street, Wendell Ramey Lane, Donner Avenue, and Schoonmaker Avenue, confirming current off-street parking restrictions and regulations for various city parking lots, promulgating general parking regulations and restrictions, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date. And just to touch on this, I know we touched on it last week. This does not, the only thing that this ordinance changes is it converts the current metered parking to 2-hour parking during business hours and provides an exception for residents that live downtown. And it, all of the other current leased parking lots, the current no parking zones, all of that is the same. And it's also basically putting 60+ years of parking ordinances into one ordinance. So the only thing that's changing is that the parking meters will be removed and that we will create a 2-hour parking zone during business hours. And I'm also suggesting that if and when we do adopt this, that we, when we remove the meters, that we paint lines so that it's not a free-for-all, at least maybe on Donner and Schoonmaker, so that we can kind of keep everyone as orderly as possible. So do I have a second on that motion to accept the first reading of Downtown Parking Ordinance 4-2020?
second.
Is there any additions, anything on this? I know it's a very long ordinance, it's like 12 pages long.
I will note that the one that you guys have here,
Mhm.
I don't believe is the updated one that
Oh,
was sent
okay.
to you. So,
Yes.
council members, you guys will get an updated copy. It's not substantially different from the one that it looks like is in your packets, but there were some small corrections that were made and then a couple additions for some streets that were overlooked previously.
Oh, so you're just adding streets?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's no substantive change.
And you were talking about the homeowners.
Yes.
Are they going to be issued some kind of parking permit, or are we just going to depend on the police officers knowing who's
I
there?
think we should issue some sort of permit just to say like, hey, I live.
There will be no cost to the homeowner?
No, I mean, we need to have some sort of, way of saying, you know, you can park here, because obviously, if the downtown is if the downtown's, a 2-hour parking zone and you live downtown, that's obviously not fair to the people that live downtown, so.
So are we doing signage then?
Yes, we will have to do signage, and we can discuss that. We'll obviously have a second reading of this, so we can discuss at the next meeting when we have the second reading about what we want to do.
Oh, we have a work session.
Yeah, with the work session, what we want to do with signage, and how we'll handle like the line painting, or, you know, if you have any other ideas to that, so that we make it very clear as to where people can park. But again, nothing has changed except for the 2-hour thing. This is just kind of confirming all of the no parking zones and everything. And there was, go ahead.
So has the contract with, I might say, the meter reader, has it been canceled? Is it done?
Not yet. That is also something that we can touch on next month when we're closer to approving this ordinance. I don't know if it would be worth retaining them for leases. I'm not really sure if they're used for leases now at all.
But they're waiting for us to tell them what we're gonna do.
Okay.
And then we'll determine what we can do.
So, I mean, if we can use them for the leases, maybe that's something we want to think about, if it makes sense financially or logistically, and if not, then we can discuss whether or not we want to terminate them.
And what are we doing with all the parking meters?
I honestly don't know. I'm open to ideas if anyone has them. I don't know if they can be recycled, or I don't know if any of them are worth selling.
You may find a municipality somewhere that wants them for parts.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can advertise
Put it out on eBay or
to
something.
put it out for sale.
Municipal bid.
Yeah, municipal bid.
I mean, there's gonna be a lot of labor involved taking down the meters, and then, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying, this all should be thought out before we move forward with anything, because you still gotta take the meters down.
Right.
You gotta take the poles down.
Right.
You gotta fill in the cement hole.
Mhm.
Well,
That's all that thought, has been thought out and laid out yet?
Well, I hadn't thought of selling the meters, so that is a good thought.
as far
But
as
yes,
taking
we'll-
them down and stuff,
Yeah,
that, you're looking at that as a long-term project. It's not my department, but that would be Lois. I'm sure that when the guys don't have grass and stuff to mow,
Yeah, if they do it in phases.
they would do it, yes.
Also, just of note, the solicitor mentioned about the streets that were added. Just so you know, those that were overlooked, they are, there's a portion of 4th Street that runs between the Union Pharmacy and Arcelor Middle, that there's some meters there. We overlooked that section, and there's another section off of Donner on 8th Street, next to the old Landmark Place, and between that and Foodland that has some meters that we missed, and also to reaffirm that there's no parking on 6th Street Hill from McKee down to Schoonmaker, because there's not enough room for anyone to park there. So those are the additions, so we'll make sure that you see those. I just totally overlooked them initially. And if you think of any other, I don't think we have any other locations downtown. I think we covered all of them. So if there's nothing else, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Well, who was the
Yeah.
second?
Pardon?
Who was the second? Oh,
Yes.
Lois
Lois.
second. Okay, that's right.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes,
Council Coles?
Yes,
Council Gregor?
Hi.
Council Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes, motion carries, and again, that's the first reading. Okay, next we have Resolution 6 of 2020, motion to approve Monessen 9th Street Park Rehabilitation Phase 1. An application submission for grant funds was submitted to the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR. This is a matching grant for the city. And as I touched on last week, the match is, so the total project I should start with is 40,000, I believe it's like 40,000, what was that?
40,500.
40,500. The match for the city would be $15,000 from the Parks Fund and $5,000 in volunteer hours. And again, the volunteer hours are $25 an hour per person. That's what they're worth. So to reiterate, the park project would rehab the basketball courts, fix some of the fencing that's falling down, fix the handicap curb and sidewalk, remulch around the playground equipment, fix some handicap accessible pathways, and install a water fountain into the park near the basketball courts. So as I said last week, we just need a resolution for the grant, and they delayed that because of the pandemic, so they're allowing us to submit the resolution after the fact. And we, as you see, we have, they have their own resolution template, which you guys should have. So do I have a second for Resolution 6 of 2020?
I second.
Before you go to a second, Mr. Moser has a comment on this exact same thing.
Oh, yep, we missed that.
And if the street is in such, if the city's in such financial problems, why are we investing more money into our park, 9th Street? The city complains of a burden placed on the current administration, and yet they forget that the $5 million investment made into the parks. These result in a $500,000 plus annual obligation to service this loan over the course of 20 years. Some of it was even for 30 years or more, as I recall. Clearly, with the current obligations the city has to service current bills, this citizen expects them to tighten the belt and take care of bare essentials before we go out and invest in more parks. Those of us with the parks can come up with programs to generate money to contribute to the project.
So I would say first, obviously the city owns 9th Street Park. So again, it's our duty to provide safe parks to our residents. They are city-owned properties. Most of the people that live in that neighborhood that use that park do not have the money to take care of themselves and their own affairs, let alone to contribute to the park, although I'm sure they would be willing to volunteer their time. And I see it as something, as investing in our neighborhoods and people, and we're multiplying money that we already have allocated to the Parks Fund. And grants are not a debt. And also, 9th Street Park needs fixed. As you know, City Park has undergone extensive repairs. The residents that live there deserve to have nice amenities. And while none of us were here at the time, the 9th Street neighborhood has suffered from decades of disinvestment and racist priorities by urban renewal. So it's our job to help fix that. And I believe that this park would improve that neighborhood, and I think that it's something that the people that live there really want to see. And I know Councilwoman Thomas has, I'm sure, spoken to a few people because many of these ideas were also hers, and it's something that we shared. So if we're going to have money allocated to the parks in the first place, we're basically multiplying the money that we already have in the Parks Fund. So again, it's a grant. It's not the same thing. So I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that.
I have a question on his public comment.
Mm-hmm.
What is the $5 million investment made into the parks? When was that?
I'm sure he's referring to all the parks with, going back many years, 2 administrations back, I'm guessing he's talking about, that were all the lights that went up for no reason at all.
$320,000 CDBG match. So not 1 cent came out of the Monessen taxpayers' pockets.
Okay, so
Although
his
he's also
numbers,
talking
what
about
he's,
the amphitheater.
the number that he states here
Well, that
are
was
incorrect.
DCNR.
These numbers aren't correct, is what.
What's that? No, they're not correct at all.
This $5 million investment made in the parks is not correct.
No.
And we don't owe
absolutely.
$500,000 here for the parks.
No.
We do owe $500,000 as a debt obligation for the bond issue. do we
Correct,
not?
but
We had a $7.2 million bond that was paid down to $6.5 million. They added $900,000 a year or two ago, so we're back up to $7.4 million.
Maybe he just doesn't understand that where that money actually went.
and we can't pay debt service with the parks fund in the first place. So we're basically, when we're going after these grants and there's a match with money that we already have allocated to these specific functions, we are multiplying the money that we have. So we're fixing the city's properties in turn and providing opportunities for the residents. And again, one of the pieces of the match is volunteer hours, and I know that there are young people, students, residents that live near the park, people that use the park that are willing to help us provide that volunteer in kind match.
How much,
as
how
well.
much can be a match in the volunteer hours?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but what I
$25
wrote.
an hour, right?
Well, it's $25 an hour per person. The way I wrote it in the grant is a total of $5,000. So if you have like each person that you have volunteering, $25 an hour, and the kind of work that I feel they could do, you know, painting, mulching, simple stuff that doesn't require heavy labor, or, you know. So obviously, like, the volunteers aren't going to be like laying the asphalt on the basketball courts. And 9th Street Park is utilized.
Oh, I always see kids up there.
Yeah.
Is this just phase one?
Yeah, I mean, as we touched on last week, if we could find additional funding, and obviously, ideally, grant funding, I would love to find grants that have no match. That's obviously great. I think, you know, 9th Street Park doesn't have lights and should have lights. I think it would curb some of the activity up there. It would provide safety for the kids that are playing up there. And obviously, that's a long term. We won't know until November whether or not we get this specific grant. But I labeled it as phase one to keep our options open to potentially do more. It hasn't set anything in stone, but it keeps our options open.
And you know, and Matt, and even though I know people are concerned about money, this is a drop in the bucket, but it will make such a big difference in that area.
I agree.
I agree when you said that 9th Street has been forgotten over decades.
Yeah.
And just to show them some kind of good faith that we are looking towards, you know, improving your neighborhood will mean so much. You know, a little does mean a lot when you haven't gotten anything done for such a long period of time.
Right, and also to touch on that, I think that, you know, with all this disinvestment that's happened in 9th Street for so long, the park is really a nice anchor. It's a nice thing for the neighborhood. It's a safe place for the kids to go. It's something for people to do. And if we use our park systems, improve it, utilize them, encourage people to utilize them, you know, when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, we could really use the parks to spur, hopefully, community development, neighborhood stabilization. One of the things people look for when they move to a community is, do they have things for me to do? Do they have parks for me to go to? And I think Monessen's very lucky that we have the parks that we have. And obviously, it's a cost for us to maintain them, but there is grant money out there for us to be able to do that and to multiply the money that we have. So I echo what you say, Lois. All right. Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilman Grigger,
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrall.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, and I have the police report. Get my papers Okay, police department receipts for the month of April 2020. There were no parking meter receipts, parking fines and forfeits, $58, $0 in parking permits. A total of miscellaneous collection is $350. Total receipts from district justice office, $2,238.17. Total receipts collected for April 2020, $2,646.17. And total calls for the month of April is 417 for the city, and total calls for the month of April for Westmoreland County Department of Public Safety is 456. That brings our total calls for the year for Monessen to 1,910 calls. Total traffic arrests, 9. For the month of April 2020, total traffic arrests 9, total non-traffic arrests 14, total criminal arrests 19, total warrants 1, bringing the total to 43, with the year-to-date 262 arrests. And the total mileage is 5,912 over all of the cars combined, with an average of 197.07 miles per day. And that is the police report. And an update on the United States Department of Agriculture USDA loan. We also touched on this last week. I don't think there's been any change since then. But the City of Monessen, the loan to the City of Monessen for the infrastructure of the main sewer lines in the city. The main lines are 12th Street, 9th Street, 6th Street, 3rd Street, and Seneca/Perenni. The loan amount will be approximately $20 million at 1.38% over 30 years. Once the project begins, it will last at least 5 years. The loan amount is the best estimate based on the current engineering reports. When the project gets into full swing, it may or may not vary from the current engineering reports. Our sewer lines are over 100 years old and are failing. We don't have any final information from USDA. They're still processing it. We're thinking probably around July we might have more answers, and that will cause the information that we have to be more fine-tuned. It might vary a little bit, but obviously the interest rates are really low right now. And when we do get that final information, when we actually have concrete information, we will present it to the public as well, so that they know what's going on. But right now, this is just where we are now. It may change, but we will update as we hear. So I don't know if John had anything to add to that. No. And then also an update on the equalization tank, the EQ tank. The EQ tank will be constructed near the city's salt shed on Perenni Boulevard. The Mon Valley Sewage Authority has agreed to engineer, construct, and pay for the tank out of the line usage fees currently paid by the residents. The tank will consist of the following: 60-foot diameter, 35-foot height, 500,000 gallons above ground, and it will contain a lid. Financially, the bond estimate is $3 million. Interest estimate is 3% over 30 years. And there, again, will be no increase for the residents of Monessen in regards to line usage. We will be using is it $5? The $5 that residents are already paying to go to this project. So, there has been no change that I know of from last week's discussion on this either, just putting this into the record.
Okay, Mayor?
Mm-hmm.
Putting it into the record and making sure that people understand that it's not stated here just how much their line usage is going to go up.
For the EQ tank, it is not going to go up at all. For
USDA,
that, we don't have the final figures yet, which is why I said when the USDA comes back to us and gives us all of the final figures before we finalize everything, we will have those amounts. But right now, we don't have it. So we're waiting.
$1 million is $1.
Right, but that could change, which is why I figured we should have all of the accurate figures. But that is what we're looking at right now. It could change.
And there has been a discussion with current council on how the project's gonna be handled, how it's gonna be done, what's the best way to do it, everything.
I believe you've been copied on all of the emails that have been sent by Tony Vitale and Ned, back and forth with the USDA.
All that, yes, but that has, none of you were involved in any of the discussions we had at USDA and everybody involved in how to do the pipes and how is the proper way to do them, because we had companies come in,
Correct.
give us demonstrations during companies.
Correct. I was at one of those meetings where, is it Centra Pipe, I believe, is the name, to go in and line some of the pipes. Some of them may need to be rebuilt, so it's basically a case-by-case basis with the lines. And again, like, that could fluctuate, but it will, some of them, again, can be lined, some of them can be rebuilt. Or will need to be rebuilt, I should say.
Some of them are gonna have to be replaced.
Yeah. But hopefully, obviously, the more that we can reline, the more money we'll save, but some of them will need to be rebuilt, replaced. And that's all I have on those two. And I'll hand it over to Councilwoman Thomas.
I'm gonna do a street report for April 2020. They collected garbage twice a week downtown, answered 27 PA1 calls, cold patched 20 roads, put up several signs throughout the city, cleaned city sidewalks throughout the city, downtown and within city neighborhoods. Recently, from Ontario Street to Tower Boulevard. They fixed the fence at the boat launch, painted the parking stalls at the boat launch also. I went down there this week with Mark Colombo, and we showed you what they've done. It actually looks really nice out there. Picked up the new Kubota and hauled the trade-in, and the Highlands was serviced and purchased 2 new weed whackers and a new chainsaw.
And not to interrupt, sorry, I just want to say, like, I am so excited about the sidewalk on Eastgate. The guys did such a fantastic job, and I've told them already, and I just want to publicly say that it looks so nice. There was only about a foot of sidewalk exposed before, and now the whole sidewalk is cleared. They are to be commended for doing all of that. It was a lot of work.
You can see that throughout the city, though, Matt. It's amazing what they've done.
They have been very busy.
It's amazing. And I try to tell them that it's amazing what they've done. The city is starting to look really nice.
And it goes a long way for residents, too.
Yeah. But we have a motion to approve to advertise for a pre-owned street sweeper. The ad will read, lease to own 2017 or newer model with less than 350 hours and less than 5,000 miles. Must have regenerative air, 4.5-yard capacity, hopper is the minimum, 2 side brooms, a chassis 215 horsepower, sweeper 74 horsepower, and 6-month warranty minimum, and be available in 2 to 3 weeks.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? I don't know if John had anything to add to that. Anyone?
So, question, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
At our work session, we discussed this,
Mm-hmm.
and it was brought up that we should also look into also what it would cost to repair it completely. I don't see that.
John, do you have those figures?
$36,580.
Okay, so are we going to compare that to, I mean, I don't see a price here, but are we going to compare that to what the price of a pre-owned one is going to cost?
The pre-owned one, the look at in the air is roughly around $125,000.
Okay, so 30,000 versus 125,000, big difference.
How-
Are we going to look at that?
Yeah, there'd be no reason to pay $36,000 against $125,000.
How old is the current sweeper?
2008, and the new one would be roughly 2017.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you can find one with that many hours, with less hours on
Right.
That's what we're
Yeah.
looking for.
it. And what happens if we don't find one?
and you don't get them.
No, we don't get one. Yeah.
Well, do we repair the one that we have?
I mean, if we don't find one, I guess we'll have no choice.
Well, it's either that or a fine.
Well,
Yeah.
my thing about doing the repair, once you get to the age of this equipment, you said it was 2012 or
2008.
2008, you're looking at, it's 12 years old already, and that kind of equipment takes such a beating. You're gonna put $36,000 into it this year. What did you put into it in the past, Tony?
Oh, I'm sure we spent $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 if something broke on it, and, Tommy busted his rear and would fabricate parts and do what he had to do to keep the thing running. I do know that for a fact.
So, you're looking at an ongoing problem here. If you're gonna be putting this kind of money into it every year, that just doesn't make any sense. If you can find something that meet these specifications, as far as your equipment, it would be much. Now, this has to go out for bid, right?
Yes.
So we have to advertise this.
Right, but
Right,
you're probably not going to get a unit that has any warranty on it.
Well,
So again, my question only is fiscally, you're looking at spending $150,000 of someone else's unit that they're trading it in for a reason. Okay, just like a car. Okay, you know what's wrong with ours. I'm just saying we need to make sure that we look at everything before we go off and try to spend money we don't have.
I would agree with you that we need to look into it very closely.
Sure, definitely.
There's no question of that. But if we could find something that would meet these, and you could have a 6-month warranty on it, you'd be much further off ahead, especially when you're moving up to something that's 3 years old or
And
less.
we avoid getting fined.
Well, the other thing you look at, you have a 3-year-old, if you can get the equipment, and then in 3 years or so, you trade up and buy a new one. So you have something as a trade-in, and you can move up. You can't let things go 10, 12 years. You have to replace those when they're still running to get some money out of it. Right now, I did a municipal bid, checked it with them. We probably could get $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for the existing 2008.
That's it.
Virtually nothing. If we would have had it at 6, 7 years ago, we probably would have been, $30,000, $35,000, $40,000. So you have to use the equipment and don't abuse it. And that's where we are now. We have an abused piece of equipment with no maintenance to keep it running. And I know there are 2 out there already that they're pretty close to this. I've checked them. One's in California, and I think there's one in Pennsylvania. So they are out there. You just have to look around.
Okay. Then we would pay for this how?
This
You
would
said
be.
we would lease to own. Where would the money come from?
Yeah, go under line usage to pick up the lease part, and then we'd have to finance the back end.
What would that
Very
be?
similar to what we did on the arm tractor, right.
So what would that be?
125,000
That's
you're
the
looking at,
total,
if
yeah.
that's the price.
Mhm.
If we get less than 120, so you'd end up paying roughly 57,000. You'd have about 68,000 financed, just like the other one. And it would cost us approximately 17,000 a quarter or a year. And we would make it so that we're paying 6 months difference from where we're paying the arm tractor.
And one would come from line usage and the other one's coming out of liquid fuels.
Correct.
Okay.
And you can't use the money anywhere else, so you may as well.
We do need to get our streets,
Yeah, we gotta get a sweeper.
and especially when you take a look at our catch basins.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never realized how bad they were. I stopped and I watched them cleaning one out that was flushed to the road, and by the time they ended up getting it cleaned out, it was 12 foot deep.
Yeah. Because you think like you get leaves and coal patch and all kind of stuff falling into them.
Yeah, but that was decades of neglect.
Yeah.
12 foot of debris.
Oh, yeah, soda bottles,
Yeah, I mean, that's decades. Okay, thank you.
Did you, or who seconded this?
nobody.
No.
Lois made the motion.
Oswald? I'll second
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you
I-
seconded
no,
it.
I seconded
Okay,
it.
Matt did.
Apparently, I'm out of it. Is there anything else on this? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
And Mayor Sherrod?
Yes, motion carries.
I already spoke about the sidewalk on Ontario Street, the Tower Boulevard downtown, which has already been cleared. We have a library report. I don't have that. That sort of isn't any since they've been closed.
Yeah,
But,
I don't think they've met.
Yeah, perhaps going to have it. So it says the $32,000 will be transferred to the library against their $50,000 annual allotment. And it says the redevelopment authority report. The city informed, that we already spoke about that. The city informed the RDA by letter on April 27th that the redevelopment authority will be responsible for maintaining their properties immediately. There are approximately 115 properties, many in the downtown area.
Okay. Councilman Orzachowski?
One question on the library. The 32,000 transferred already, is that in alignment with, the 0.8 mils that we've collected so far for taxes?
Yeah, we paid 32. We could have paid 50, but we just paid 32 at this time. And
Out of the general fund.
that's fine. I mean, we had the money there, so we may as well pay it. And
Well, from the treasurer's report, didn't it specify what was,
pardon me?
The breakdown?
yeah, the treasurer's report, didn't he specify the
Yeah,
breakdown?
it's in there too.
Yes, you did.
All right, Councilman Orzachowski?
Okay, Parks and Recreation report, cut city parks in Ballfield, turned on the water at the facility, fixed several lights in City Hall, cleaned the leaves at the exit of the city parks, and helped the street crew as needed. And 2 tractors were added to equipment replacing old equipment.
Councilman Gregor?
Code activity report for April 2020. Habitation permits were 0. Correction letters were 24. Animal complaints, 0. Miscellaneous complaints, 0. Zoning permits, 2. There was a safety meeting. And there was 0 building permits. There was cancellation of 8 inspections due to the COVID-19 situation. Code office financial report, plumbing inspections, 0, year-to-date 0. Plumbing licenses for April, 0, year-to-date $1,250. Building permits for April, $150, year-to-date $987.50. Demolition permits, 0. Sewer tapping, 0. Mercantile machines, April 2020, 0. Year-to-date, $600. Soliciting permits, 0. Contractor license fees, 0. Chicken permits, April, 0. Year-to-date, $25. Street opening permits, April, $2,800. Year-to-date, $28,764.33. Magistrate code enforcement for April, 0. Year-to-date, $359.26. Zoning permits, 0. Sign permits for April, $125. Year-to-date, $575. Eat and drink license for April, $75. Year-to-date, $225. Health inspections for April was 0. Year-to-date, $375. Habitation permits for April, $260. Year-to-date, $2,480. Landlord fees was 0. Fireworks permits was 0. Yard waste pickup for April was $125. year-to-date $170. Unsewered line usage for April was $864. Year-to-date was $5,904. For April, total revenue is $4,399, and year-to-date was $41,715.09. EMS report. They had 96 emergency calls, 9 fire standbys for total incidents of 105 incidents. Fire report for April. Automatic alarms 7. We had CO call 1, standby 3, wires down 5, tree down 1, Mon Valley ambulance 4, motor vehicle accidents 4, EMS assist 0, hazmat 0, vehicle fire 1 LZ landing zone, 1 natural gas incident, 3 other incidents. We had a structure fire. We had 2. Looks like it was in Denora, and the other one was in Charleroi. We had 1. We had total runs 26. Total responding is 425. Average responding per call 16.34. Total man hours is 254.5 hours.
Thank you.
Well, don't forget we had 2 signs posted, one at each end of the walking track, reminding participants to wear their mask while they're walking on the track.
Okay. Councilman Coles?
Yes, this is my report. Everyone has on the last sheet of the report that the meeting here, and there's 2 columns under the general and the payee amounts. That column on the left-hand side, and it goes to partially on the right-hand column where it ends at $555,827.91. That would be in total for those columns that I just mentioned. And I'm looking for a motion to approve the payment of current bills totaling $113,800, which that is for the payroll and the health care. The following large bills from 2019 are still pending.
Oh, wait. You have the motion?
Yeah, I'm looking for a motion to approve that. Yeah.
So a motion for the $113,800 for payroll and health care. Correct.
For $113,800.
I'll second. Anything on that?
Yeah, Mayor, Mr. Coles, I have a couple questions on if they can tell me what some of these expenditures are. The University of Wisconsin,
That is for the Mayor's Innovation Project. It is under conferences.
okay.
They're based out of that. That's why it's listed. as such.
QuickBooks, is that our yearly cost for software licensing?
For QuickBooks.
So what's,
Is QuickBooks, is that for the yearly licensing or is that something else? The QuickBooks item.
I see it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That,
$3,000.
I don't know the bill, came in. I don't know any specifics on that.
Okay.
Okay, there's $880 for Link Computer.
That's their monthly expense for Leak Computer.
Which is, please?
It had to do with the, I believe the billing for, just trying to think now what it was. It was put on last year when you were here.
We just use PA Connect.
No. Leak Computer out of Altoona. We put it on last year.
Not to my knowledge. Well, I'm asking, I don't. Tech Software Systems, $2,398.
That's towards the bottom.
Pardon me?
Towards the bottom.
Down here.
Yeah, I know it's at the bottom, but, yeah, I haven't run into them yet, so I'll have to check that.
Thank you.
But they
Bear-
were on
Bear-
last year also, so it's just a renewal this year.
Bearcon,
Would that be for the radios?
Pardon me?
Would that be for the radios? Bear call.
I'm not sure.
When I deal with Bearcom, it's almost always for the radios, for the fire
Radios.
department.
Okay. Yeah.
Wex Bank,
Wex Bank is your charge cards for Exxon,
I'm sorry, our charge cards for what?
for Exxon Mobil, for the gasoline.
gas.
Yeah,
You're saying gas cards.
you're right.
Has that changed from last year?
No, they're still the same. Everything that he, that question is from last year. And nobody new has been put on.
Marshall Dennehy,
That's our insurance.
Oh, you didn't pay the $1,000 deductible for the case against Franks. They sent a bill in last year for $1,000 and wasn't paid, so I had to pay it this year.
okay.
They're attorneys.
Woodland Power Pro out of the parks.
Yeah, that's a cyclone rake. They were put with the new tractors. It's a 55-gallon cyclone rake that we have.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on that? Okay. Call the- Oh, we still have the motion. Call the roll, please. Oh, sorry.
These aren't all outstanding bills. These are, some of these have already been paid, correct?
Yes, some will have been paid, we're ratifying them, and some are still
And
existing.
so the motion is to the payment of current bills totaling $113,800. Is that just payroll and healthcare, or does that also include the payment of some of these other bills that are listed?
It's separate.
There's going to be another motion for that?
The numbers don't add up. The paper here says $555,827.91, but the motion's for $113,800.
Yeah, but you look at debt services taxes, that just moved from one account to another.
No, this is a
Okay.
list of all the bills you're listing.
You got 480 some odd thousand. Let's see, what does that add up to? 487,000. Plus 221.
But you don't, you
Two,
can't,
three,
you
four.
can't add all this, you deduct all of this coming out of here because it's different things. And come up with
One,
113,000,
three.
that's not what we're approving.
It says the approval is for payroll and healthcare.
Yeah, that's,
But that's
it's,
not what the motion says.
yes it does.
No, the motion says to approve payment of current bills. It states nothing about paying payroll and just health care. There's a whole list, like Mr. Cole said, that totals $555,827.91.
When he read his motion, he specified that it was payroll and healthcare at the bottom.
But when are we approving the $555,827.91?
No.
I wanted that included, so.
If you look at it, it's park taxes and debt service taxes. Taxes are incoming. So those are not outgoing bills.
I can see the confusion now.
Yeah.
No, that's not what the sheet says.
Okay, what should it say, and then we'll vote on it?
No, we'll do it the right way.
No,
We'll
what,
just go from there. If you're making a list of these bills, I'm assuming that's what these are. Am I correct?
Have these bills been paid or not? Some of these bills have been paid.
yeah,
correct?
some have been
Well, we
paid.
can't approve bills that we're not paying. And what bills are we paying? I really don't understand.
Or you don't want to understand?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay, never mind.
I thought so. Again, looking at this sheet, under general, it says payee, and there's a whole list, and it goes to the right, and it's totaled at $555,827.91. Okay?
Yep.
But the motion is to approve payments of current bills of $113,800.
Referring to payroll and healthcare, I believe
But
that's.
if you add payroll and healthcare up, it doesn't total, it totals what, $113,800?
Yes.
So the motion should only be, one of the motions should be to do payroll and healthcare out of that budget. There should be a motion to transfer money to pay that, and then there needs to be another motion, Mr. Solicitor, Ms. Tim, am I wrong, for $555,827.91 out of the general account?
That would be the best way of doing it, although that $555,827.91 is not what the motion would be, because once again, as was pointed out, a lot of those bills have already been paid. So it would just
we
be
have
the
to-
balance on any of those bills.
So
The motion that I was asking for was for the $113,000, and I mentioned it was for the pay for payroll and health care. I did not ask for a motion to approve when I said right-hand column and the left-hand column. I was asking for approval for the $113,800. That's the motion that I was asking for.
Okay, so I understand that, but the motion should read, motion to approve, no, it shouldn't to pay, it should be a transfer for the payroll and health care that totals $113,800. But why aren't we paying the bills for the month? We're missing a motion, am I wrong, Tim?
No, there should be an additional motion to pay the balance of the other general bills that remain outstanding. Because once again, that $555,000 figure is misleading, because a lot of those bills have already been paid. So it would just, you would just need a motion to pay whatever the outstanding balance on those bills are.
But we need that because people would expect to know exactly
Can we
what
do that
we're
at this
paying, am I
meeting?
correct?
I'm sorry, what's that, Councilman Orzechowski?
I said the people are going to expect, and they should be able to know exactly what is being paid with their tax dollars, so we need an exact figure, am I correct?
I mean, you don't need an exact figure at this meeting, as long as you have invoices and records of what's being paid. It's not required for you to have them here at this meeting, because you do have the total balances, and that's gonna be less any payments that have already been made in prior months that you've approved previously. So those amounts would have been listed in prior months' bills to be paid in meetings. So, I mean,
But they should be
hypothetically,
here.
it's helpful if you have it here.
So, I don't know what we're approving.
So are you looking for a motion to approve the outstanding balance on the bills that are listed from the general fund?
There needs to be a motion on that, and then there
Okay,
needs to be, that motion needs to change from what it states
Right.
to what it actually is on this sheet.
For the transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. This is wrong.
Okay, let's make it right.
Okay, so I'll withdraw my second if you would like to restate your motion to reflect that.
What figure do you want to restate?
So it sounds like the intent is to have a motion to approve a transfer of $113,800 for purposes of payroll and healthcare expenditures. And then in addition, to approve the outstanding balances on the general bills listed in the attached sheet.
Okay.
Tim, shouldn't that read the first one, that there's a transfer from the general account to the healthcare account to pay that?
Yeah, if you have specific accounts for that, and you're holding it in those accounts, yeah, you can include that in that motion. So it's
There
gonna
are
be,
specific accounts.
okay, yeah, so it would be a motion to approve the transfer of $113,800 for payroll and healthcare purposes to the payroll and healthcare accounts, or is it 2 accounts or 1 account?
Two.
So those 2 accounts, and then to approve the payment of the outstanding balances on the general bills listed.
Okay. I will make the motion to approve the transfer of current bills, transfer for the payroll account and the healthcare account, for the current bills totaling $113,800. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any other question on that? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilman Gorchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes, motion carries. And also, I'd like to make a motion to pay the remaining balance of the general fund bills.
You need to know how much they total. You just can't say, "Oh, we're paying these." People have a right to know what we're approving.
Well, it's kind of on this list here.
It is.
Well, no, you just said some of this stuff looks like it's been priorly paid, or some of it hasn't been paid. What has been paid, what hasn't been paid.
Some of it has been paid and some hasn't been paid. The easiest way would be to reference your prior list of bill payments that came in of the last month, and then you know what was already approved for payment, which is already, public and been shared by you guys. So you would have the ability to approve this on the basis that, you have that as an approved document already. You would just subtract anything that was previously approved for payment from any balances listed here.
But we only approved $9,000 last month, as I stated.
Yeah, all this, Tim, all this was after the meeting last month. Okay, any of this was after the meeting last month.
Okay, so that's all
So
new
if that's
bills?
the case,
Yeah,
it should
absolutely.
total $555,000, correct?
What I don't
It was
understand,
paid after the last meeting.
I don't understand the parks taxes and the debt service taxes.
Well, is that an expenditure, John, that came out of that .8 mils? It didn't come out of the general fund, it shouldn't be there.
No, yeah.
And debt service taxes, why are they sitting in there?
That's sitting in debt service for the bond money at the end of the year.
That looks to
No,
me
I
like
know
a
that, but what I'm
typo.
saying
Yeah.
is it shouldn't be in this total.
No, I agree, it should be in the total. The total actually, let's see, should be $67,741.39.
You added all those up?
No, you take the 488,000 out of the 555, and it comes out to 67,741. The two parks taxes and debt service come out, and that brings it down to 67,741.39.
Well, that can't happen because, John, look at the Mon Valley Refuse is 50,000 and TMIT is 50,000. There's over your 100,000 right there. Take your math off with
I think somebody made a mistake on that addition.
50 is 100. Three, 4, 5. I'm not sure, I don't have a calculator here to get that. Let's see, it's 100, 10, 20, 35, 32.
There's well over almost $250,000 in charges. Maybe 200,000.
25, 28, 30, 32, 33, 34, 41, 42, 53, 56, Yeah, I think the total 555 is off to begin with.
I think it's a certain call.
That 555 is off to begin with.
While John's trying to figure that out, I'd like to make another mention that last month when we paid the bill, and they were like a little over $9,000, there was nowhere in there was us to pay any utilities.
I'm calculating, I'm sorry.
No, didn't mean to interrupt anybody, I'm just making a statement, that's all.
And of course I missed one. Lovely. I'm working on calculating these and I missed one. And I have to start all over again.
There's a lot of them.
What'd you come up with?
I have to start all over again because I missed one.
Okay. Let me read it to you.
Yes, actually. We might as well. Hold on. Okay. Go ahead.
50, okay, 481, 11,
Mhm.
390, 438, 750, 3008, 13, 5705, 374.64, 10,000, 592.57, 87.79, 84.50,
Hold on. Um, 87.79. Okay.
69.90, 880.00, 2377.68,
2377.68. Okay.
310.45, 1107.52, 127.32, 2168.48, 537.43, 550, okay, 564, 68.26, 38.70, 1636.13, 80, 81.30,
Okay.
115.50,
Wait, 81.30.
115.50,
Okay.
50,000 again. 78.30,
Okay.
889, 1556.31,
Mhm.
$21,
Mhm.
89.97, 89.97,
I'll bring it back. Okay. That
$44,
makes sense, thank you.
89.97.
$44, 11,510, 983.38, 470.80, 779.11, $35, 23.98, yep, 20, I'm sorry, 23,
That'd be 23.98.
2398
Okay.
okay.
2398.00,
2398.00,
got
okay. 1099.23,
1091.
1091, sorry, 0.23, 2945, 9301.79,
Yep.
321.95, 422.76, 2808.00, 125, 1745.04, 162.79, 1827.64, $180, 1795.74, 299.91, 307.95, and I'm going to leave out these next two, 32,487.75, 243.93, 8737.39, 1,000 even, 290, 87.25, 16,011.00. That's it.
$262,041.98.
I was right when I said $250,000.
262, right?
262,41.98.
Okay.
So I want to see if this 500 is right.
No, the 500's not even close.
Yeah, so with those two, the total would have been 750,
Yeah, total is wrong.
128.50, so yeah, that total is wrong. But obviously, we're not including the parks and the debt service in that, so it's $262,041.98 that it should be. So I don't know why that was
Calculated incorrect.
and that's for the column on the left and half of the line.
I appreciate that, but we need to make sure that doesn't happen again. People were relying and expecting us to report what we're spending, and we weren't even close.
Where is Councilman Gregory? Oh, okay. I'll wait for him to get back. Councilman Gregory's in the restroom.
I should check that for the,
Here you go.
yeah, these figures are strictly figures that we put out. These are right off the.
And based what you said before that, it still
Yeah,
won't
these
be
are-
262, right? Because some of these bills have already been paid, correct?
Correct. This is just a total of everything minus the parks taxes and debt service taxes, which shouldn't be in that list.
Plus minus some of the bills that have been paid, correct?
Correct.
No, though, John said that this was bills that were paid after the last meeting.
Right.
So this is current. It was $262,041.98. It's not deducting, not things that were paid before. This is what we paid out this month.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay. We got a figure of $262,041.98. That's everything minus the parks taxes and debt service taxes.
Okay?
Just
I apologize for the delay.
So, I suppose we need a motion for that then. So a motion, I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of bills for, the general bills for a total of $262,041.98. And again, that amount is reflected on the sheet, the attached sheet, minus the parks tax amount and the debt service tax amount in that list. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Anything else?
She typed the wrong amount here.
Okay,
So
call the roll,
just forget
please.
the rest. Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Matt Terrell?
Yes, motion carries. Okay. Councilman Coles? you
Yes,
continue.
make reference to B. The following large bills from 2019 are still pending. It is the police pension of $227,000. The refuse authority, $138,000 even. And C, one large bill for 2020 is still pending. The health care insurance of $140,000 even. D, all other invoices for 2020 have been paid. E, large account balances at the end of April in the general fund, $951,000. Liquid fuels, $305,000. Parks and recreations, $314,000. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
So Mayor,
Yes.
we need motions to approve paying out of the parks, the civic center, line usage. Those haven't been, those motions haven't been made. They were paid. They didn't come out of the general fund.
Okay. So we'll start with the Parks Fund. Motion to approve the payment of bills under the Parks Fund totaling $3,731.90 according to the attached sheet.
I'll second it.
Okay. Anything on that one? I believe they all total up properly. Call the roll.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Matt Terrell?
Yes. Motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of bills under the Civic Center Fund totaling $885.44, as reflected on the attached sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
I second
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Tony?
Any discussion?
Yeah, Tony said second. Yeah.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
it. Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
And Mayor Sherrill?
Yes, motion carries. And I'd like to make a motion to, oh, there's no, not for line usage?
No, we did
No,
right.
we didn't. I don't think we did.
Oh, the Civic Center one, okay.
Yeah, we did Civic Center. And a motion to approve the payment of bills in the total of $221,282.93 under line usage as reflected on the attached sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
And Mayor Sherrill?
Yes, motion carries.
So now that we did that, do we have any expenditures for liquid fuel? It's not listed here.
None this month? I don't see it.
Okay.
No, there are no expenditures out of liquid fuels for the month?
Doesn't seem so.
None
Did
listed.
they not patch potholes?
They're not listed, so I don't know.
They patched potholes, but I don't think it was separated out.
We had stuff last month for last month.
Yeah, that's where that would come out of, because
Yeah.
they should be taking their hours and charging us.
Yep. I agree. No, we had bought some last month, but, not this month, not that I remember reasonably.
But this would have been in April, am I right, John? That's what it's listed.
Yeah, this would be for April, yeah. I
But
think-
this is after, these are after the April meeting.
Right, so they, Lois reported that they paid 20-something miles or something, or 20
streets.
something.
20 streets.
No, it says they closed up 20 roads.
Yeah.
Right, so that
Yeah.
money should be coming out of liquid fuels for the hours they clock.
Yeah,
do
it's
that,
been a
instead of
while
coming out
since
of
we
general.
bought,
No,
bought
he's
that
saying that,
patch.
he's saying that their hourly rate should have come out of liquid fuels, it should have been transferred from there
For the time that they
for
spent.
the time. If that hasn't been done yet, you should look into that, John, and make
Yeah,
sure that
I'll
it gets
look at
transferred.
that, find out.
Right, and then there'll have to be a motion made to transfer that from the general fund to liquid fuels. Am I right, solicitor?
That's correct. Yeah,
Wouldn't it be
you
from
would want
liquid-
that for audit purposes, from liquid fuels to the general.
Yeah, it
fund.
would be transferred from liquid fuels into the general.
Yeah, we're having a little problem because we don't have a person on that, to handle that. And I have somebody part-time on it. So we'll
So
have,
my other question then, Mr. Coles and Mr. Harhide, is the general fund that's showing 951, is that before or after the 262.4198 that we just did?
that was as of the 30th of the month.
So is that not subtracting the 262 out there, John?
No, I would say that the 262 is out of there already. Yeah, it would be out,
Okay.
That's the reconciled amounts?
yeah,
That's your reconciled?
yeah.
Okay.
And what do we have to worry or anything to worry about that this healthcare insurance hasn't been paid yet?
What do we have to worry?
I mean, are we gonna worry, are we going to jeopardize coverage for any of our retirees or employees?
Not that I'm aware of.
So why do we still owe it then? Just as a general question.
Why do we still what?
Oh,
The healthcare insurance.
the 140,000.
Oh, we're
That's
behind,
premium, isn't it?
we're behind on insurance from last year.
Well, I'm sure they didn't not letting us continue on without paying that.
Oh, we're paying, we're about 2 or 3 months behind.
It
Oh, yeah.
says one large bill for 2020 still pending. And up above, it says these are the bills for 2019. So is it in 2020 or is it in 2019?
We're paying our current bills now, and I'm just leaving that out there. How they apply it, I don't know.
Okay.
We're currently, we're behind on.
We're current with our bills month to month. Now, when we have some extra money, then we'll throw it against 19. But it's still out there as 19's bill as far as I'm concerned on our listing.
Right, but I was asking about the bill in 2020 for the healthcare
Mm-hmm.
insurance. Is that this year's bill?
Is that what?
Is that this year's bill?
That's what it says, 2020.
Is the 140,000 that's listed here, is this a bill from 2020 or is this a bill from 2019?
It says the following large bills for 2019.
So, but
No,
the health
no, no,
insurance
no.
bill is not included under that.
Under item C.
Oh, the 140. No, we still have that bill, and
Is that from 2019
Yeah.
or is that from 2020?
So that's a check.
yeah,
So that needs to be listed up above for.
yeah, that should.
bills pending
I
from
should have put that up
2019.
there. Yes, correct. That should have been up there under 19. That's my error.
Well, I think what he's asking you is, and I could be wrong, our health care coverage, even though we're behind, we're making payments.
Are they what?
Even though we're behind
Yes.
from last year, we're making payments and
Yes.
our coverage is still in effect.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. to wrap up with Mr. Mosier's public comment, we touched on 2 of the items, so there are 4 other items, so I'm going to go in order and address each of them. So the first one, again, this is from Mr. Mosier, it's 25 Colonial Drive, Monessen. First, he says, Facebook has been brought up to the federal Congress and fined for a number of violations of public trust. They have further indicated no desire to govern messages posted on Facebook, and it can be shown that there are numerous false political posts that occur regularly. Facebook has no mechanism to even guaranteeing the viewer that any particular Facebook page is legitimate, and therefore cannot be trusted as an authentic source of information. As such, I no longer use Facebook and would expect the city to find an alternative method of disseminating information, i.e. mail, newspaper, radio, or public media. So I agree there is a whole lot of fake news, fake information on Facebook and fake profiles and such, but right now we'll continue to use the city Facebook page. Obviously that's not the primary source. And I'll also continue to use my mayor's page, my mayor's Facebook page, and we'll continue to send the press releases out to local and regional media outlets. Whether or not they choose to print them, that's a different story, that's on them. And we'll continue to grow our web presence in the future. We're working on updating the website, that's why it is currently down. And hopefully we'll reach a wider audience. Not everyone reads the paper or listens to radio, so we need to touch on as many different outlets as possible. But obviously with like advertising and stuff, we will continue to use the paper for that. The next
On
one.
that note, Mayor, I'm sorry, I apologize. On that note, when you mentioned about the city's website, cityofmonessen.com,
Yes.
was that domain paid for this year?
I believe there was an issue where there were 2 domains somehow, so John was working on straightening that out. I'm not sure. Mr. Fian had his personal card on there, which I took off, so I'm not sure, because we, again, have to update the website. It wasn't finished, and a lot of the information on there wasn't accurate, so that is something that's still being worked on. I don't know what the situation was with having 2 domains, though, so I'm under the impression that we still have a domain, because we still have the email addresses working through PA Connect.
No, the domain is up for sale right now. We did not renew it because the PA Connect does not sell domains on the internet. That's a totally different service that does that worldwide. Mm-hmm. Our email accounts are generated through PA Connect.
Correct.
Which is totally different than the domain name. So right now, cityofmonessen.com does not exist, which means the citizens of Monessen cannot send the email to an info@cityofmonessen.com if they have questions. Just putting that out there.
Well, I believe when the email addresses were updated, there is no info@cityofmonessen.com email address anymore either. There was a discussion creating a general information email. But again, I'd like to include a contact form on the website, but that all needs to be updated.
Are you working on that?
Yes.
It sounds like the city needs to repurchase that domain as well.
ASAP.
What, I remember you saying that there were 2 domains or something like that. Do you?
Yeah. We have GoDaddy, that's who we use now. GoDaddy is the domain.
Okay.
Network
They're the
Network
company
Solutions.
that you're,
Pardon
the
me?
company that you've secured the domain through.
Yeah.
Is GoDaddy,
Yeah.
yes. And PA Connect is our service.
We need to get that taken care of as soon as possible.
Obviously, the city doesn't have a debit card or anything like that, so I'll have to see how we can handle payment through that. Because I think that's why Dave had his card through there, and then we were reimbursing him, I believe.
That's correct.
So we'll have to figure that out. Okay. The next point, on April 25th, I sent a very polite SMS text message to Matt Schraw asking him to consider making the council meetings public, even in compliance to the COVID-19 restrictions. I know Matt is a smart person who grew up with technology. This is not a hard issue to solve. There are any number of tools that can be used, Zoom, NetMeeting, YouTube, and Facebook, to name a few. Even little old New Eagle has figured out a way to allow public interaction. What's the problem with Monessen? I even offered my assistance but received nothing back. And yes, he did contact me. I received a text message from him, and I appreciate the message. Not everyone on council has the ability to access those platforms like Zoom. So we'll have to continue exploring our options and try to work out logistics. I ordered, out of my personal funds, a tripod to set up a phone if we could live stream at least, but we haven't figured out how to set up logistics for live interaction. But as of right now, we're allowing the public to comment through written comments. We're posting the agenda outside, well, inside the city building, but in the window, and on social media. And we've obviously gotten public comment in the last couple weeks. They can call in, they could email it. So hopefully this situation is straightened out sooner rather than later too with the pandemic, but it doesn't look like that's happening either.
Well, we should be moving from red to yellow at the end of the week.
Yes.
And if we do that, you will be able to have up to 25 people.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make it a little bit more easier as far as having public comment.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of miss it. I like the interaction with the public myself. And as soon as we can get out of here, what we're doing right now is legal.
Yeah, it was confirmed with the Office of Open Records that what we're doing is fine. It seems according to the guidance that was provided specifically for the COVID-19.
So we're within guidelines. I'm not real comfortable with not having the public present, to be honest with you. And hopefully when we move from red to yellow, which is supposedly this Friday, our next meetings will be able to have a total of 25 people. And we'll be able to set it up. And if need be, we can even, somebody wants to come in and make a comment, one person can leave the other one. So we could work on that. But, this COVID-19 has really made things difficult.
That's for sure.
How are you going to handle the 15 people that are permitted to come in?
They have to abide by the guidelines.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a first-come, first-served basis. If you want to open it to the public to still maintain limitations, then get the first 15 people that come. And then if there are people that have public comment, they need to wait, and then they can be let in specifically for their public comment, but would need to exit the building shortly thereafter. So.
We need to also make sure that we have the space back there for 15 people. They want 6 foot difference between them.
Yeah.
You may not be able to fit 15 people back there.
Matt,
So we're going to have to look into that before the next meeting. We have to remain in compliance with the state.
Absolutely.
So why can't we use Zoom?
Not everyone has access.
What's access? All you need is a cell phone.
Well, I don't believe Mr. Coles has that technology.
cell phone?
Yeah.
No. I would like to make a suggestion that we don't forget to have security here.
Yeah. Well, if we're gonna have to let people in and out and everything like that, we'll definitely have to do that.
That's security,
Yeah. That'll take some logistical planning.
Well, it's our responsibility to get it done. And I don't trust Zoom. I've heard from different people, and I've been assured by someone who I believe is extremely reliable that Zoom is good. It's just, I don't trust the internet. I don't trust it.
Well, I mean, there are security flaws for sure.
There's security flaws in all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some of the mess online, and it's...
Also, we kind of touched on this. He also says public comment as defined by the Sunshine Act is just that, public comment made in a public forum. I do not believe written comments with no interaction and no public witness satisfies the requirement of being public comment. there are ways to do this, but Monessen clearly does not want to have public comment or suffer the public repercussions when they refuse to respond. I don't know if
Tim?
anyone else.
Well, I mean, that's why the agenda is specifically posted, made available to the public, and why council invites people to submit their comments at length, actually, either in writing or I believe they could telephone in to provide their comments.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, being able to provide public comments in this sort of format in a fairly lengthy letter is oftentimes more desirable than being limited to 3 minutes to speaking in public. So this does address and give people the opportunity, because the agenda is posted ahead of time and anybody can comment on any item that is on that agenda, it does fulfill, under these circumstances, the public comment requirement.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Even though it's not ideal, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. I noticed that the beginning of our meetings, we have opened the floor for public comment on agenda item only. Would it behoove us to have something on there for someone that watches us on the YouTube to be able to make comments that they can send in before we can read it before next month's meeting, as far as being concerning this month's meeting?
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. You could have a section at the next meeting that addresses comments carried over from this meeting.
I mean, we should make the
after
public
this
aware of
becomes
that.
Open to the public, especially since there are some items on there that, first reading of some ordinances and things like that, where you're going to be taking action again in the future, so.
Yeah, I want the people to be able to make their comments. And yeah, I'd love to see them sitting here, but obviously we can't do that. And even in the future, who knows how long we're going to be in the yellow, and we're going to be limited to 25 people.
Yeah.
So, if the people that watching this on MVI and they see this and they have some comments to make, they should be permitted to submit them, and we can go over them before the next meeting.
Yeah.
I think we should include that. It'll make for a longer meeting. Well, nothing new there.
And the last point on this, and John went to the restroom, so I want him to also touch on this, but what is the 5-year debt service plan? Should not the city council work together, all 5, to put together a plan that gives the citizens something they can believe in and feel good about paying taxes towards? There is a budget that is put together every year, yet this council seems to completely ignore the budget. And I agree, and I think this year's budget process also needs to have input from all of the departments, like the police chief and the street supervisor. That doesn't mean that their requests will get included in the budget, but they should at least have some input in it. That hasn't happened over the last several years. I don't know if it ever happened. I imagine at some point it did.
Happened last year.
Did it? Because I was informed by some that it did not. So.
Well, someone informs you misinformation, but they were asked.
Well.
We asked their opinions. We asked them even about the Christmas list. What's their big wish list?
Well, I don't know, but this is what I was told.
Last year's budget did not add up, though.
No.
That was one of the big problems with the bank, when they kept coming back to us and telling us that the 2020 budget did not add up. When the actuarial people said there was like $500,000 that was unaccounted for in the budget, they said it just didn't make any sense. I don't know who was responsible for that. I did the math, and the bank was correct. It was off $500,000. And it looked to me like they had actually taken the TAN note and put it into two different areas, but I'm not sure. The real estate tax was off $500,000. It just didn't make any sense when you try to go through that. So I understand that we may not be following the budget from last year, but it's kind of hard to follow something that doesn't add up. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
It's also hard to pay bills when you can't get them down right and to make totals that are correct either, can it, John?
Yeah, you're correct there. There were some errors made there, but that still doesn't change the fact that the budget from last year, the preliminary budget, made 0 cents. Mathematically, it did not add up. And the banks were on it. The banks, the actuaries, they told us that that was the problem.
I'm sure they did.
Yes. But hey, everybody makes mistakes. You live and you learn, hopefully. I'm still the new guy. The more I learn, the more I realize how little I actually know.
Well, before you put this to bed, Mayor, I just have one last thing, if I may.
What's that?
And I'm requesting for me and Lois, because I don't know if the rest of you have this, I'd like a copy, a printout, beginning of the month and at the end of the month, from January till now, list of all the accounts receivable and accounts payable, and a report on all what the obligate accounts are. I've requested this for the last 4 months, and I'm standing pat that I want it now.
Why does he want this? Why does he want this?
Yes, he wants it.
To do what with it?
To look
I
at it.
have the right to see it.
I didn't ask you what right you had.
Gentlemen,
Tony,
Get
just
me, you
to,
gonna get me on your
Okay,
case
okay.
about rights?
Tony, just to clarify, when you say a list
You're
of
sick.
accounts payable, are you saying that, are you requesting a list of outstanding bills or bills that have been paid?
Bills that have been paid.
Okay, and then accounts receivable,
He gets that
do
every
you
month in the
mean
report.
like just the statements, the fund balance statements, or?
I want to see the actual balances, what's going in the bank and what's coming out
Okay,
every twice a month, beginning of the month, at the end of the month, and the list of bills that were paid for each month.
that'll clarify.
Tim, is that a problem?
No, I mean, it's
I have a
public,
right
it's
to do
public
that.
information, so.
I mean, we used to,
John needs to
we
hear this
used
stuff.
to post, there used to be a binder that
Yes.
Carla used to put together so that the public could skim through that too. And
And
I,
we continue that.
yes, and ideally what I'd like to do, once we have a website up and running, I'd like to post all of that, the agendas and the minutes, all on the website so that everyone could look at all of that, since it is public
What
information.
he doing?
So I'm requesting all that information, the bank statement, and bank printouts and statements and everything, up from the beginning of the year to now.
Anything else from anyone? No. All right, motion to adjourn at 10 after 10 p.m. Meeting adjourned.